Welcome to the Recruiter Podcast. Nice to have you all on this morning.
Absolutely.
And as we say, this stuff ain't free, so let's hear from a word from some of the friends of the program, Ernie.
Let's begin with the Rockstar events, the Young Conference people. And they posed the question, are you tired, maybe even a little burned out by the noise surrounding so many auto conferences? How do you pick the right one to go to this year? It's easier than you think. Folks and dealers and guys in the stores, they're gravitating toward the Rockstar events. They are one of the few auto industry conferences that are truly delivering new information that helps dealers rock their market. If you are serious about increasing sales and profit in every department, visit rockstarinfo.com to learn more about an upcoming unconference near you. Go to rockstarinfo.com and see why people like Grant Cardone, Gary Vee, Ask a Millionaire, and many others are investing their time in the Rockstar events.
Don't forget Frank Lopes. When
Frank
you say
Lopes
that.
will be there.
Well, there you are.
Right, and Craig Lockhart.
And Craig Lockhart.
And
Yeah.
Joe
I'm going to be
Lockhart.
there too, guys.
And Joe Lockhart.
Anthony Santangelo
Anthony.
doing a speaking engagement.
Jody Atkins. There'll be some AutoMax people there.
Yeah, these events seem to be, I don't know, without all the hype of selling their products, like from the vendor perspective.
Amen.
It's something where, what my understanding is, it's a lot of information, it's a lot of give and take. The vendors themselves, Frank, you can attest to it. You know, off of the stand, off of the stage, let's say, is when you're really sharing information. So there seems to be a lot of communication that's open and honest and very helpful.
It's different. I said yesterday when we did when I did the live read when you guys were gone with Naomi, excuse me, there's not going to be, I can't imagine more than 5 minutes of word tracks over a day and a half. It's like different information.
It's most of the people thing I like about it, most of the people that speak there, it's total freewheel.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, I mean, you have something prepared, but the best thing I love about the audience is just so engaged. You know, like they're so engaged that you have a plan of what you want to talk about, and you go up there, and God does what He normally does, and He just takes your plan and throws it away, and it's like, no, you're going to talk about this now because you just saw this reaction from this person. So,
right.
You know, so you're going to jump on that and run
Hey,
with it.
good plan, Frank, but I got something else in mind, so have a sense of humor, says God, right?
Right. Exactly.
Go ahead.
You can
Ern.
have your plan, and you know.
Interesting.
We can hear that.
There you go. So we have the folks at Tecobi, and that's spelled Tecobi. They also ask a question, and it's pretty simple. Wouldn't you love to capture interested buyers while they are looking at your ad and interact with them immediately? Of course you would.
Yep.
And now you can. By using a combination of Facebook lead generation ads and Tecobi software, you are able to capture interested buyers and respond instantly to them with text message, engaging the customer immediately and throughout the car buying process. With Tecobi, you're able to text follow-up, you are able to import other lead sources, and text blast up to 500 customers at a time, all within minutes. Visit Tecobi.com to see how you can instantly message your new leads.
Yes, sir. And we talked yesterday, I don't know if it was Ali Rita or Frank Canetti. Anthony was telling us that one of the two took it to the next level, by getting into the world of text messaging. And I know Jason's big on that, obviously. It's Facebook lead generation, but the communication avenue is usually text messaging for most of the leads. And if you're not using text messages to communicate with your clients, leads, prospects, customers, you're failing at life.
Right.
Basically.
Well, it's totally changed what we're doing with recruitment. Totally, it's probably
or
a
job
stretch.
applicants. Good
job
point.
applicants. It was a game changer for us too, because it's
Real-time communication.
right
Very
in the
important.
age group that we're dealing with.
Right.
Right. It was Frank Crenetti.
Yes,
during
it was Frank, yeah.
When
his
he was fighting cancer,
Yeah,
absolutely.
Exactly.
Very cool.
Then we have, let's talk about Automoto HR.
Let's.
It's a Automoto HR is a complete HR management system for both large and small dealerships, and we say all dealerships. It targets and tracks top automotive talent through visiting hundreds of job boards, including Indeed, ZipRecruiter, Glassdoor, and Google for Jobs. Automotive HR is a professional branded career website and microsites that enhance the candidate experience and shares quality information about the dealership. Automotive HR allows managers to schedule, interview, and hire with ease and document all communication. The platform is EEO and OFCCP compliant with a full audit trail, and it can be used to ensure that an effective onboarding and training process are followed.
Yes, sir.
It's the same old thing. What do I say? Our dealers say, where did you find these people, man? And it's like, it's a secret. It's Automotive HR. It's a platform we use.
Yeah, they're one of the cylinders in the engine under our hood.
Correct. Exactly right.
Big part of what we do.
There are so many aspects about that platform that make it easy for a dealer to, I'm going to say, advertise for multiple positions at a snap of a button. And it's all compliant. So they're legally, for the HR staff, like we said, documents all the communication between the applicant and the management. It's a wonderful platform.
Yeah. And we're going to get the founder and CEO out here from California one of these days, and let Stephen go. He's a pretty bright guy, and
absolutely
amazing stuff.
Very good DIY recruiting and onboarding tool.
Yeah, perfect.
It's an asset. And then we have our good friends at Dealer World Performance Agency, as Troy would like to
ad agency.
Ad
agency.
Yeah, we call it ad agency ourselves.
Agency.
But so his little spin would be, when you want more traffic, but you want less vendors, and you want to reduce your budget and fees, Dealer World can do it. Better ads with a focus on leads, and more leads, chats, phone calls, and walk-ins. Everything Dealer World does is result-oriented. Better ads with a focus on better TV, better radio, better lead-generating social and digital. Dealer World can do it all, and sometimes for half the fees you're currently paying. Visit mydealerworld.com, one of the fastest growing performance agencies, for an advertising audit and see how they can help you.
Yeah, and it's mydealerworld.com, right?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, I think what separates, and you can call them ad agencies, marketing companies, performance agencies, whatever you want, but and this is not a setup, we happen to have, and we're going to get to our special guest here in a minute, but the difference between companies like Frank's and Troy's is they actually know the car business, and when something gets screwed up, he's given a budget, here's what's going to fall within that budget, I'm doing my thing, you're not doing your thing. So let's get your thing straight, right? So in my opinion, if you're going to be dealing with automobile dealers to whatever extent, you better have a little bit of ammunition and
some balls.
Yeah, and balls, because you got to know what you're talking about, because they're going to screw that up sometimes.
Yeah.
And from the budget, from the information, from the initiation, facilitation of what a marketing or ad agency does, there's going to be screw ups. And to have a guy like Troy, a guy like Frank, who we're going to introduce here in a minute, to be able to actually understand the industry and okay, here's the things that are set in place. Now, here's what you have to do for them to actually succeed. Because just selling stuff is just selling stuff, man. If it's not working, it's like, screw it. Who needs it? So just real quick, thanks for joining the podcast. Want to make sure you guys know everywhere that we're available. We are live streaming to YouTube, to our YouTube channel. Please subscribe. That would be terrific. That would be AutoMax Excellent, which that says right there.
AutoMaxcellent.
AutoMaxcellent. Yeah, Frank,
I have one of those.
Do you?
I do. I have two.
Get out.
He'll never wear it.
No, he won't wear that.
Look at that hair.
Why
Not
would
with
you
that
say?
hair.
Why would you
No.
say I wouldn't wear it?
Because look at that hair.
come on.
If I had that hair, I wouldn't wear a hat.
Show us one photo that has you wearing a hat.
Wait
a minute.
I think
I've
I actually
seen-
have one.
He's got a rock
Now you're
star
gonna-
hat
you're
on.
gonna-
I've seen him in.
You're going to challenge me now with the
Yes.
with the photos. So.
I think you have a rock star picture. I think.
I don't think I have a rock star picture hat. I think I have a. I think I actually have a next up hat
Oh, that's right. Next up.
on when I was and it's not that long ago either.
Yeah, I think you might be
find
right.
it. I'm going to find it as proof, just so that
Right.
just to dispel the myth.
Yes.
Right, because there's going to be enough lies on this show, so
Yeah,
might as well eliminate one.
This is going to be a ton. This is going to be a ton of lies.
Oh, but it's backward. Come on. That's
Oh,
like
he's
How else do
going
you- how else do
backward
you-
with hat?
It's barely on there.
Yeah.
No, this is
Oh,
perfect.
dude.
This
How
is
else do you wear a
perfect.
hat?
It's on there, but it's still
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
coif
It
is
doesn't-
still
The
intact.
coif.
The coif.
Yeah, it
The
doesn't
coif is
affect-
still. Yeah, you can tell there's something going on under. You know, you can tell there's something
show the
going on
camera.
underneath that. You know.
yeah.
That's awesome. All right, so here's where I want to start. We got Frank J. Lopes in the studio. How awesome is that? Woo!
Yes,
That's
Yes,
awesome.
Whoa, man.
we've been talking lately about the amount of time that Ernie and I can spend here, and that's why we were in yesterday because we're just busy as hell right now. And I told Frank if it wasn't you coming in, I wouldn't be here today.
Yeah.
I'd be at home working, and you're the only reason I'm here today.
And it's
dude.
no
Right.
disrespect to any other.
No, it's
Right.
it's just I had to be here.
Yeah.
Right,
for-
that's going to make
for
our
Frank J. Lopes.
second guest, Bill Schoenberg,
Yeah, I
feel
know.
real special.
Well,
Sorry,
sorry,
Bill.
Bill.
Well, see, that's different. It's an afternoon. If
Right.
Bill would have been
No, I
first,
know.
I'd have came in the morning. I can't.
Right.
It's
All right.
it's tough balancing this. That's all.
So, Frank, I want to get something out of the way right now. It's been bothering me, and I've heard you talk a million times. I've never heard you discuss this and the why behind it. So, why is it you actually fired Gary V? Was it truly because he wanted to pay you in wine rather than money? Is that what is that all about, or what?
Well, let's set the records. Let's
Right.
set the record straight
Which
right
part?
out of the gate over here. Is
Right.
number one, I did not fire Gary
Oh,
V.
okay.
That's
Well,
for sure,
it's your story. Tell it however you want.
So that's for sure. And he did not try to pay me in wine, but over
story I heard.
over the years, I did definitely have some very nice samplings.
Oh,
so to say,
bet, dude.
some very nice tastings over the years, without a doubt. You
I'll
know?
bet. I'm so interested in that, and I've heard you speak like a lot, which is not a bad thing. I love to hear you speak. How far can you go into your relationship with Gary V? And when did all that start? How did that start? And I've never heard. I mean, you've answered hundreds of interview questions and guys interviewing you of stuff like this, but I don't think I've ever heard you really be asked that or really talk about it.
Right. Yeah. And to be honest, I try not to.
Yeah.
I try not to because the time with Gary, with Gary Vaynerchuk and I was a great time. It was a great time. We did a lot of fantastic things. But I'm not a. How do you say it? Like I never wanted. Not that I didn't want to be associated with Gary, but I didn't want my identity to be just attached to him.
Right.
But in the time that we worked together, I will say I learned a tremendous amount from him, and I was privy and divinely blessed to see so many things in such an infantile type of state.
Right.
Come basically from nothing.
Right.
And and watch it develop into what it is today. And what it is today is nowhere like none of that stuff was ever talked about back in the day. Like it all just organically just developed.
Yeah, well, Russian immigrant parents, right? 3 kids in a bedroom, on and on and on and on and on. And his dad owned a liquor store, right?
A liquor store, yeah. Gary's upbringing and mine, or we have a tremendous amount of parallels in our
I'd
life
say.
as well. Immigrant parents,
Right.
Growing up with close to nothing at all, close to nothing at all times. The immigrant struggle, the whole, the language barrier, all that type of thing.
Right.
We lived one town away from each other. When my high
really?
school was on the same street that he actually lived on when they moved to Edison.
Oh, that's interesting.
So many different things. But our story, I'll tell it if you want me. If you want, our story begins in I think back to 2003. And
Oh, really? I didn't know it was that far back.
yeah. So
Whoa.
in 2003, a local media rep comes to my office, and is like, "Hey, I've got a lead for you. I got a lead for you. I got this business that needs advertising help." And I'm like, "Okay, like what dealership is it?" Because at that time I was working with dealerships and a few other things, but this rep was mainly in automotive. And she's like, "No, it's not a dealership. It's a liquor store." So I said to her, I look at her and I'm like, "What are you doing bringing me a liquor store? Like, I don't do that type of,
Right.
a liquor store. I don't do that type
Right.
of thing." And she's like, no, you got to meet this guy. Like, there's something about this kid. Like, you've got to meet him. You've got to see him.
And who's telling you this?
This a Comcast media rep.
Oh.
Television media rep.
Wow.
Like, you got
Good lead, man.
there's something about this guy. You got to meet him. So she gives me his number. And I remember taking the number and putting it on my desk next to my phone and not calling.
Right.
Okay? Just like nothing.
Yep.
Maybe about a week or so later, I get a phone call. I answer. Caller ID wasn't what it is today. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I answer, and it's Gary Vaynerchuk.
Really?
On the phone,
He's calling you.
He's calling me. So he's like, "Oh, I got your number, and I need some help with some advertising stuff, and all this kind of stuff." And I'm like, "Okay, well, now I'm like, fuck, like this guy's on the phone, shit,
Right.
How do
Can't
I
blow him off
Can't
now.
blow him off." So I'm like, "Okay, how do where are you?" He tells me where the liquor store is. I know where the liquor store is. There was a time before in between automotive and advertising. Back in my early story, when I actually drove a delivery truck for a liquor distributor. So I actually delivered liquor to Wine Library before it was Wine Library.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
That's really
it was called
interesting.
Shoppers Discount Liquors.
Before his dad bought it?
Well, his
built
dad
it, or-
just bought it, and
Oh,
then
okay,
they
gotcha.
didn't do any renovations or anything like
Gotcha.
that. So he tells me the address, and I'm like, "That's on Morris Avenue." And he's like, "Yeah, it's right by 5 Points, right down the street." And I'm like, "That's Shoppers Discount." And he's like, "Yeah, it's the Wine Library now, and it's completely different. And we redid the whole place. We just got done with this renovation. You got to come up here and see it." So I'm like, "Okay, fine."
He's
You know?
pitching you.
I'm like, "Okay, fine." So I go up, and I mean, that's how the story starts. I was just
Wow.
Gary V was just a kid running his dad's liquor store.
Right.
And I come to learn that he had a fully functional e-commerce website.
Right. Unheard of.
Yeah, 2005.
Wine.com and him. Like, that was it.
Right.
Selling wine all over the country,
Right.
except in states that were blocking them
Yeah.
because of tax laws and because
Oh.
of just
Delivery, yeah.
delivery
Delaware's
issues.
still one,
Yeah.
Oh, really?
And whatever. I remember
Yeah, it sucks.
That's serious?
Yeah, I went to order. I don't know if it was wine.com, but I found all these nice wines I wanted to try, and I ordered them, and I got to checkout, and nope.
Nope.
Really?
Yeah.
I'll be
Yeah,
darned.
Could be a tax. That could be a tax one. I don't know.
It could be. Yeah.
I guess. So
It's-
we're talking 03, so that's 16 years ago.
Right.
So he already had a site. He had a merch store. So he was pitching wine online, and it was your job to accelerate that.
So
his end vision, I guess.
So I did special projects with him back
Such
then.
as?
So we did a lot. We did a lot of outdoor advertising at the time. We did magazines. We did some television. Right. I have some really good Wine Library TV spots of Gary V in
Can't you use that?
like
Can't you put those on,
05,
man?
06. Oh, sure. They're on, they're on YouTube anyway, but
Yeah.
like 05,
Do you have a YouTube channel?
06. Yes.
Okay. What's the channel name?
That's Frank J. Lopes.
Frank J. Lopes. YouTube, subscribe, Frank J. Lopes.
So, I mean, crazy commercials where like we spit wine on each other and
Awesome.
stuff, and just like if you would
Bring that back.
yeah. So if you would think, what would Gary V want to do on TV? Right. That's exactly what it would be, is that type of thing. So then, so the story continues in the beginning of 2006. It was like January of 2006. He calls, and he would call at the most random ass times.
That would make sense.
Like 10 o'clock at night, 6 o'clock in the morning. Like, just if something hit him, boom, he would call. So he calls, and I remember this day as well. He calls, and I look at the phone. I'm like, it's too early for this shit, and I like don't answer, right?
Right.
And then he calls again, and then he calls again, right? So like the third time I answer it, and I'm like, "Where's the fucking fire, man?" And he's like, "I got this idea. You got to come up here."
Yep.
Just like off the cuff, like like drop every fucking thing.
This
you're
is
doing.
2-3 years into the
This is-
relationship.
Yeah, exactly. This is like 3 years into the relationship. It's okay. You got to come. Can you come here today? You got to come here. I got this idea. So I'm like, okay, fine. I'll be there in the afternoon. So I go there. I remember. I walk into his office. I plop my ass into he had these big leather chairs on the other side of the thing. So I plop my ass into the chair, and I'm like, okay, like what's the big idea? And he's like, listen. He goes, you know YouTube? And I'm like, you mean that thing with the cat videos on it? And he's like, yeah. So he goes,
Wow.
he goes, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna do a show. And I was like, you're going to do a show? And he's like, yeah, we're going to do a show. We're going to do a show about wine. And I remember sitting back in the chair, and like sulking down in the chair, right? And going, oh yeah? He's like, yeah, we're gonna do a show about wine, and we're gonna do, we're gonna do tastings, and I'm gonna talk about wine, but I'm really gonna talk about it, not like that highfalutin bullshit that's on like Wine Spectator and stuff, like like real reviews. Like, and if something sucks, I'm gonna say it sucks. And I'm like, okay. He goes, and I got an even better idea. It's like, okay, what's your even better idea? Like, how much worse can this frickin' get?
Right.
And he's like, you're gonna do a show too. And I said, really? I said, what am I gonna do a show about, Gary? I don't know that much about wine. I could do a show. No, you're gonna do a show about like the car business and sales and like marketing and all that. You know all that shit. You're gonna do that. You should do one too. And I said, Gary, ain't nobody gonna watch a show. On a show talking about wine, just as much as ain't nobody gonna watch a show with me talking about sales or the car business or anything like that.
Right, missed that one by a little bit, didn't you?
Just a little bit, yeah, just a little bit. That was I shorted that putt maybe by like an inch or two.
Yeah, never up, never in.
Never, yeah, exactly. Didn't fall in. So
wow.
So from there, then it was quite something to watch, because then we started changing. Any projects that we were doing were all about Wine Library TV, all of it.
Okay, gotcha.
So like all of our billboards, all our magazine ads, anything that we did. Now we didn't
directed to the TV channel.
All directed to the TV channel.
Makes all the sense in the world.
Nothing. And I remember in the beginning, I'm like, what the hell? We have to sell wine, not this show.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
I was like, oh.
Yeah.
He was a bit ahead of his time.
Oh, he really was.
And I was like, oh, now I see.
You look at older videos of him, because he tells that story a little bit in the start of digital and so forth, and how he became famous, and it's just so interesting to me. What do you think at that time? And I don't want to talk about Gary Vee the whole time, although he is interesting. But I want me selfishly and us selfishly and the rest of the audience to know more about you. But did he ever mention buying the Jets even back then?
No.
Was that's a last 6, 7, 8 year thing?
I don't think it's.
Or is it real?
I don't think it's a 6, 7, 8 year thing.
Yeah.
He loved the Jets. That's not a question. You know. And if he didn't say it, that doesn't mean that he wasn't thinking it.
Gotcha.
But to me, he never said it.
Right. I wonder if that's real. I mean, it's
Totally.
like a vision board in his head, written down. I'm going to buy the New York Jets.
Totally. Totally. I'd bet every dollar I got and every dollar you got that when he was a little kid, he knew that's what he wanted. And he's said many times that even when he was little, that's what he wanted. So just because he didn't say it to me, it doesn't mean shit. He still wanted, I'm sure that he had that aspiration.
Yeah.
Without a doubt.
You Jets or Giants fan?
I'm an I don't care fan.
Oh,
No
really?
kidding.
You're
I
not
don't
into
care.
football?
No, I'll watch.
Oh.
I'll watch, but
I didn't know that. So you're a baseball.
He watches. Frank watches the real football.
I watch the
real
real football.
football.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is the one. Like I'll poke on people a lot of times and be like, "Oh, you're spending your whole Sunday in front of the TV watching football and everything," and I'm being a little hypocritical because I will spend a Saturday or a Sunday. I'll spend the 90 minutes on a Saturday or Sunday watching soccer.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. How was your sandwich?
The sandwich was
the
sandwich was fantastic.
We gotta say something here, because that was record time. We've only had 4 of these. No, 3. 1, 2, 3. Fifth. This is our 5th podcast.
Right.
Frank just absolutely demolished a Tony Lopes cheesesteak with whiz.
It was
and
impressive.
Well, if you're
mushroom and onion, that was awesome.
If you're gonna do something, I mean,
Right.
Yeah,
like
you
now
don't
we're
half-ass it.
doing this. I'm not
Right.
gonna half-ass and start chomping at the same time.
I admire the way you ate that sandwich.
That's the way to do
I
it.
put it down. And I haven't had a cheesesteak in a while. I mean, it was no disrespect. It was no Jim's.
Yeah, we talked about that pre-show. So I don't know gyms. I haven't been there.
You haven't lived
I
yet.
What's
I
it
guess
by?
it's the
You
next
said
thing
it's
I'm
on
gonna
South
do.
Street.
It's
Where?
on South Street, all the way on the east end of South Street.
No,
East End of South Street.
that will be my next stop.
They're all good.
Your
They're
life,
all good.
Yeah.
They are.
Yeah,
look,
that's tough.
they are all good. That's not a question. But after you go to gyms, it's just
Okay.
it's different. You'll see that there's just a difference.
I'm in. I'm gonna check it out. Yeah, but Tony Luke's again in the studio for everybody. These guys are eating breakfast sandwiches. Frank had at some point they're really gonna have to pony up the big bucks here. I got to tell you,
They have
'cause
to.
I'm gonna be wearing out a path from my house to Tony Luke's every
We
Monday
plug
and
'em and-
Tuesday morning.
You know what's
so-
funny is that a lot of people don't understand and they don't appreciate the fact that you can't get a sandwich like that anywhere else in the country
No.
except in New York, New Jersey, and Philadelphia.
Absolutely. I mean,
like that's it. They don't get it. Other people look at this,
Yeah.
and, you know.
And it's pizza's the same way. I moved an hour and a half down the road to Delaware, and it's like, oh my god,
you
I
can't
can't
eat
get
that.
anything.
No, it's
The
dog food.
bread.
Yeah,
Right.
it's
is the bread.
It is the bread. It's the dough and the bread. Absolutely, it's a big part of it.
So I'll tell you a funny story going along with that was that my wife Andrea and I were watching. We're starting to watch The Sopranos again, right? Because we got HBO Go, and we're suddenly
HBO Go is
realizing,
phenomenal.
we're realizing how much great shit is on there. And
Yeah.
she's like, "Oh, I should watch The Sopranos," and I'm like, "Well, you live in New Jersey now, so we can't tell anyone that you haven't watched The Sopranos. Yet, you know,
point.
Keep that to
Yeah.
yourself.
So,
Right.
so you have to watch it. And now she's number one, she's addicted, and number two, she's absolutely loving it because of all the New Jersey isms that are in it that
Right.
you only
Well-
understand if you live.
Correct.
You know,
It's right
if
around
you
your
if you
area
live up
too,
here.
right?
It's-
I mean,
a
it's-
lot
yeah.
of it.
A lot
was
of the
shot-
filming was around you.
A lot of it was shot. So,
Anytime I go, we coming in New York, the airport's on the left there, and you go through one of those tolls.
Yeah.
it's like bang, man. It just
sure,
instant.
you
the
hear the
whole-
music in your head and everything.
Yeah,
do.
the whole opening scene when they're driving through the shitty north part, the north end of 95.
The part that's not really New Jersey, but it is.
Right. right.
Unfortunately, that's what the image of New Jersey is.
Exactly.
The opening of
That's
The
what
Sopranos.
everyone thinks. Yep.
Yeah.
Which I also had to explain to Andrea that if that's ever on, you can't fast forward through it. It's sacrilege to do that.
Oh, I agree.
You have to let the
I
whole
agree.
thing
That's funny you
play
mentioned that.
all
I
the
don't
way
think I
through.
ever
You
skipped the
can't.
beginning.
You're
right.
giving her good advice. That's good. It's the way that you're bringing her
We'll
up.
have to- well,
And now there's going to be a prequel.
guide properly.
Right?
Oh, that's right.
There's
Yeah.
going to be a
So they
prequel
say,
coming
yeah.
out with his son actually playing Tony.
Yeah.
Where have I been? I have not heard this. Is that
who
true?
else?
You
There's a
didn't
lot-
go to the open casting call? I thought I saw you there.
Yeah. What part would I play?
You'd be the used car salesman that gets whacked for trying to pull one over on Tony. and
Yeah. Good point. Good
point.
You'd be real. Everyone would like you for like 3 episodes, then out of nowhere, just be like, Psh.
Who was what was the real attractive? He ended up dating her, and she was selling cars. What was she selling? Mercedes,
Oh,
right?
yeah, she killed
Yeah.
herself, right?
Yeah.
She kills herself in it. I can't remember her name right now.
She was hot, man.
She worked at. She
Lot of-
supposedly worked at Globe Mercedes.
Oh, is that right? I
that
did
isn't
not
there
know
anymore.
that.
Yeah, it's not there anymore. But
That's
It's
interesting.
a great show. That is rewatching Sopranos. Definitely a guilty pleasure of mine. Something
Without
to
a
watch
doubt.
over and over and over.
So there was a scene just night before last where Tony's sitting in the back of the Bada Bing, and he's, you know how they use the card table, the poker table for everything, right?
Yeah.
So he's sitting at the poker table, and he has an egg, like an egg sandwich, some type of an egg sandwich in aluminum foil,
Right.
right? And Andrea says that the only place that you can get a sandwich like that is in New Jersey. Like that's it. Like besides that, they don't exist. Well, as soon as you go over the border and you ask for an egg sandwich on a hoagie roll, they'll look at you like, "Are you crazy?" Like nobody. She's from Knoxville, so she's like, nobody from Knoxville, Tennessee, will make you a sandwich like that. And I was like, well,
Your wife is so cool. I can
She is.
remember, I think the first time I met her was at the first CBT conference.
it could have been
Because I don't think you guys have been together that long then. Had you?
I think
or-
you met her at Rockstar, actually, at Rockstar in Vegas.
You think?
Yeah, she didn't go to CBT.
Oh, she didn't?
I don't know, or Digital Dealer. You
Oh, it
might
have been
her,
someone else. Sorry,
one
Andrea.
of the, one of the conferences. That's okay, but it's definitely. I don't know how to say this without sounding like bragging or anything like that. But
Brag away.
she's a blessing. She's an absolute blessing from God. It's 100% divine. I do not deserve, nor should I be with somebody of her caliber. It's not even
Yeah,
a question.
I love the notes
that
passed
she
between
sends
her
to
and her
Preston.
son.
Yeah, they're great.
What's her son's name?
Preston.
Preston. I don't know. I think that's good social media.
Yeah.
For no other reason than it's just pure relationship between a mother and her son. It's just beautiful to me. I think it's so awesome.
Well, that's the thing about it is that it's genuine and pure. I
Yeah,
mean, she
man.
looks for a joke that she knows that he'll like,
Right.
and also that he can take and share with his other buddies at the lunch table and stuff like that. You know how important that is when you're when you're 10. Like,
Right.
That's a big thing. The guy who has the jokes,
Yeah,
the
Right.
guy who
He's
has
got a thing already.
yeah,
Right.
whoever's got the good shit in his lunchbox
Right.
is ruling the table.
Right.
So.
How'd you guys meet?
It's funny. She was through social media. She was looking for somebody to do to help her with advertising and marketing at the dealership that she was working at in Knoxville. And she had followed me on social for a while, and she would engage and then go away and engage and go away. And then she actually reached out to our friend Matt
Ah,
and asking,
oh,
you
who's
know,
this guy?
Makini asking for a referral on me, and
Really?
and then
Awesome.
She reached out, asked for help on certain things, and I would look through whatever it is that she was doing and give her advice and tell her this and that. And then we met at Digital Dealer 16 or something like that,
Yeah.
I believe.
That's interesting.
And that was it. And
Yeah.
we were, from that point forward,
You were
we
done.
were inseparable.
Yeah.
So how long she been in Jersey with you?
She's been in Jersey now 3 years.
Okay, how's the transition? Because I'm always interested because I'm a Midwest guy that came out to Jersey, and it's a rough transition initially, and it's easier when you're married to someone, and that
Yeah.
kind of gets you integrated a lot easier.
It was challenging without a doubt because it's definitely a culture shock.
yeah,
bet.
for sure.
It's definitely a culture shock. Like I make a joke all the time. There's a difference between people from the north and the south, but there's one thing that's still the same, right? From the south, they'll say to you, you all come back now, you hear,
Right.
and then from the north, they'll tell you to go fuck yourself, right?
Right. It means the same thing.
But they're both saying the same thing. Both of them are lying.
That's a great way to put it. And I had this conversation with someone recently. One of our trainers, Craig Nicholas, who's from up your way. Where's he live right now? He just moved, but he's
moved.
North Jersey. And he's Jersey through and through, and it's not that people from New Jersey are mean; they're great people.
Right.
It's just like you said, it's the mannerisms. It's just a little
Right.
ruder, just a
Yeah.
little more brash, but
Right.
they're still loving. They're still good people at heart.
Yeah.
It's just you're not going to get the friendliness, you're not going to get the manners, the
Right.
polite stuff. That all goes out the window.
Right.
Yeah,
It's
it's
just no time for that shit.
So much comes at us so fast.
Yeah.
It
You've
does.
seen everything. Everything's
Right.
been tried on you, so you are a little bit
Right.
on edge.
Well,
You're a little-
before the podcast, Frank and I are hanging outside, right? And so there's a woman gets
Oh,
out
you're
of her.
going to tell this story? Right?
Yeah. So, so this woman gets out of, or younger,
Nothing safe in the podcast,
Nothing
Frank.
safe.
young girl gets out of her car, and she's loaded down. I mean, she had a lot of stuff in her arms.
Got a lot of shit in her hands.
I mean, she had just left Starbucks with the. How did you describe it?
Or
The
mocha frappa fucking strawberry shit.
light with
thing.
whipped cream, right?
Yeah.
So, Frank and I are in mid conversation. Frank sees this girl out of the corner of her eye, runs down, opens the door for her because there's no way she would have had to put half
No
the stuff
chance.
down. And it's like, and we were talking. I don't know what we were talking about. I said, "That's awesome, what you just did." But that's what we're talking about. It's
I
like
don't-
people
right.
think Jersey people are rude. It's just a different
Just
thing.
in a
It's
hurry, like Ernie said.
because in
Like-
Ohio, that's less likely to happen. I mean, how many times you walk
Possibly,
into
yeah.
a Wawa? Everybody holds the door open for somebody going in and out of Wawa. I've never seen anything like it in my life.
Sure.
Everybody, it's like
Yeah.
you have to. Like, it's
Well, most
just-
of the time, people are walking out of there with more shit than they could possibly carry
Exactly
in the
right.
first place. So
Right.
it's almost like you. I was going to make a joke. Before, and I held the door open for her, and then when she said thank you, I was like, "Next time, don't carry so much shit with you,
Right.
and you'll be able to handle your own
should
door."
have.
Right.
But
That's what you
That'd
really
be
wanted to
good.
say.
Yeah,
that'd
but
be good. We can catch her on the way out, maybe.
She would have laughed.
I wanted to.
You'd have made her day.
One of the things, and I'm not sure I've heard you speak on this, but on the promo video we did, did you notice where Joanna put in Sandman on
Yes,
the promo
I
video?
saw that.
Did you guys see the promo video?
did.
Like everyone's asleep.
Yeah.
Like around him, like he put everyone out.
Yeah.
It's like
It's not
those
the
of
first
you,
time, right? That happened.
Those of you
All
that
the
don't
time.
know Frank or follow Frank, first of all, you should follow Frank for sure. But he has this thing, man, where if you sit next to him on an airplane, you're out. You're gonna fall asleep.
Yeah.
And so, consequently, the Sandman. So he sent. We asked him for a 15-second promotional video for the podcast, and he videos this stuff. And I mean, like everyone, there's got to be half a dozen guys around.
Everyone's
you passed out.
Passed out.
It's a beautiful
Everyone's
thing,
asleep.
man. It's like just a little sand.
I want to start. Can
Yeah.
we fly out to Rockstar together? I can't sleep on planes,
Sure,
and I'm
no
flying
problem.
out at like 9:00 at night too. And I know I won't sleep. I know I won't sleep.
When do you get into Rockstar? You get in
I
Sunday?
haven't. I book all of my travel like so
Late?
stupidly, like at the last
boy.
minute. You know,
It's more exciting
like at the
that
la-
way.
like I don't have my Vegas trip.
Just stand by. What the hell?
Yeah, well,
Yeah, it's gambling.
Look, for years, it's always worked out fine. Like I've never missed anything. I've never
Right.
maybe I paid a little more than I should have, but
Maybe.
but I like the flexibility because I can't tell you how many times I've had like a plan in my head that okay, I'm going to go out at this time, and
Yeah.
come back, and I'm going to come back at this time,
Yeah, right.
and then in between, someone's like, "Hey, can you?
Yes.
Hey, I need to see you." And
I've
then
seen
I'm
that
flying,
happen with you.
Yeah,
Yep.
I'm flying from wherever I am to someplace else. And so instead of paying the stupid $200 change fee,
Yeah.
Right.
it's
Right.
much better off just to book as late as it possibly can.
That would have saved us $200 here recently.
Yeah, what if? Yeah. Well,
Just waited.
I forgot
out.
it was Mother's Day.
That's
You know,
all
It's
right.
like, you
I
know,
mean, and $200 change fee, like
insane,
$200
dude.
to change your
to
mind.
change. And it's to change
Unbelievable,
anything,
man.
like to change any part of
Yeah.
the flight arrangement whatsoever.
And
It's
you've never been
absurd.
blocked out of getting a ticket to get to where
No.
you got to go.
No, not yet.
yeah, knock on wood.
Not going for
pretty
Micah.
impressive.
Yeah, not yet.
And then what are you doing? Are you emceeing it or no? What? Yeah,
Yeah,
MC is the right word.
Yeah,
right?
Matt asked me if I would MC,
Right.
and
Oh, yeah?
and then I'm doing the keynote on day 2.
That's
Awesome.
awesome. Yeah.
That's
That's
exciting.
good. Those events are awesome. That's the speakers are just. It really does kind of blow my mind a little bit because I mean these are paid speakers, typically.
Yeah, typically. I mean, just about everybody who's speaking at that event, is a 5-figure speaker.
Right. Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like you're
It's
not
weird.
Like you're not getting out of the bed for
Yeah.
if if we're not talking about 10 G's or more plus.
Yeah.
Plus expenses, plus
Right.
hotel, plus
Right.
So I don't know, like people call me the Sandman. I don't know what kind of spell Matt puts everybody under.
It's weird.
To get everybody to come out, because that's another awesome part of the of the conference is the fact that everybody's there and everybody's there on their own dime. Like nobody's
Yeah.
getting paid to speak, so everybody who's there wants to deliver
Right.
the message,
makes a
and
difference.
it makes a huge difference. They want to deliver. You're not 100%. If you even go anywhere close to pitching what you do for a living,
Yeah, that's a problem.
while you're up there, I mean, he'll yank your sorry ass right off the stage live,
right.
and we've seen him do it
Yes,
already.
sir.
We've seen him do it where somebody went into pitch mode, no names, but
Yep.
somebody went into pitch mode,
Yep.
and he just shut their mic off.
Yep.
No kidding.
Yep.
He just shut the mic off
That's
from
great.
the board and was like,
Yeah.
hey, yeah, you're done, man. That's not the way we do things here.
That's great. Is Gary Vee going to be out there? I've never met him.
No. No. Gary V did a live stream.
He did a pre-recorded live stream thing for
Right.
one
Okay.
time,
for.
which was good.
I think it was the same one that Cardone flew in for on his birthday. I think.
Okay.
The first one, I think.
Yeah, the first
I
one
did,
at the
yeah.
draft house or that bar or whatever it was. It was. I wasn't at that one. I was at the one in Dallas, and I've been to several of them. They're a gas. And
Yeah.
you're going to really
Well,
enjoy it. The
it's-
networking, the people that are there are just different.
Yeah.
It's a little different crowd. I think because of the speaker, just
Right.
everything's just a little bit different, which is cool.
And I'm excited to be in Vegas. I haven't been to Vegas
Yeah.
since our old partner Glenn's
No way.
Dutch bar. That's the last time I was in Vegas. I think I'm going to take.
Wow.
My dad gives everyone in the entire family. It's funny you were considering stopping doing it because it's putting a financial crunch on you here. He gives 100 plus their birthday to everyone in the family, the kids, the grandkids, everybody, just across the whole family. So I got $138 this year for my birthday. I'm strongly considering putting it on the Browns to win the Super Bowl in Vegas.
Boy, that's a great
Just
idea.
rolling with
It's a
it.
good idea.
I mean, what the
great
hell?
idea.
What the hell?
You know,
Best team
and
you
then,
guys have
and
had.
then
I
if
like
they
that.
if they just win the AFC North, you hedge your bet, and I'll bet on the other team for the Super Bowl, and then I know I'm winning something.
Oh, that's a really good idea.
Well, look. Look. There's probably a bunch of people right now who are watching who are saying that's fucking stupid. What the hell is he going to do? He's take that $138 and
Right.
and flush it down
Right.
the toilet. If you would have said now on Saturday in the morning, if you would have said that you were going to bet on the long shot for the Kentucky Derby, everybody would have said the same
Oh,
thing.
no kidding, man.
So how crazy really is that? you know?
Right.
What a mess. What happened
mess.
there exactly?
I don't know. I don't follow horse racing enough
So
to really.
I did.
So yeah, you watch. So go ahead, tell the story.
Well, the horse truly did leave its lane to
Right.
the point that it impacted other horses.
At what point in the
See,
race?
They were
At
going
this-
around I thought it was the third turn. Actually, I thought it was around the second turn, but by the third turn, the problem that I had with it, the horse that claimed the foul
Right.
wasn't truly affected enough, in my opinion,
Right.
to have been able to warrant the foul. There were two other horses that absolutely had to pull back, hold up, or they would have clipped the legs for sure, and they would have gone down, and that would have been a real mess because they were
Right.
right up at the front, and everybody would have trampled over them. It would have been a nightmare
been
for
horrible.
horse racing. So those jockeys did a really good job of pulling back, but the horse in question, the maximum security, absolutely crossed over 2 lanes, and that's just too much.
Right.
My challenge with the ruling is I've watched these races before, and they're bouncing, hitting off of each other along the way.
They are.
And they're never called for it, but it's a little different. I mean, he truly went over, I'm going to call it 2
Laterally
lanes.
moved
Went
sideways.
over, and then he came back and he kind of impeded the other horse, which was kind of, I guess, legal.
Yeah.
But that whole action there changed in I guess the steward's point of view the outcome of the race enough.
See, I don't
to
know horse racing at all
disqualify.
then, because I thought that was just normal.
No,
and
you
it
can't be
happens in
going.
every
Yeah,
race.
you
I
can't
thought
be-
it was just
Once they-
Thunderdome out
It's not
there.
like stock car where you can be blocking.
No, once they get in, once the jockey puts the horse into a particular lane, even though there's no lanes,
You gotta
there's
go
no
straight.
painted lanes or
Right.
anything like that. But the horses will run straight.
Okay.
They'll run
Right.
like perfectly straight on their
Gotcha.
own.
Right.
So once you have the horse in that lane, you're really not supposed to leave the lane until you get open to the point where you
Right.
can
That
go
home
around.
stretch.
Okay.
Yeah, and that was a contention. He wasn't open
Clear.
enough, didn't clear,
I got you.
and made that.
Right.
And then the horse just kind of did it on his own,
Yeah,
or he
yeah,
let
they-
the horse. I don't know, but
Right. And I heard another big part of this whole controversy is weren't there 20 horses running there?
yeah,
There's
I mean,
usually 20 to
20.
24, yeah.
I mean, that's like,
a lot.
because the Preakness and the Belmont are, what are they, 12, 14? I mean, it's like,
Should we
like
ask
Well,
you
that's
that?
what
half
makes
or
it
a
It's not as
third.
many as the Derby. That's
No.
for sure.
Yeah, and in mud.
yeah.
I mean, you're talking about a bunch of horses getting put down if some sort of calamity.
Well, in
To the
140
glue factory with
Yeah, man.
It's
dog food.
145 years without ever having a race contested. So
Yeah.
that was the first time ever. So that also.
What was the winning ticket? I think 100 paid. Do you
Well,
remember
$2 paid 130 some odd dollars on a win, and I could be wrong, but it was a
Yeah.
significant amount.
It was a
of money.
65 to 1 long shot.
Yeah.
Right.
65 to
Well,
1.
see, and the Browns aren't even close to that for the Super Bowl. This is
No,
the other
they're-
thing that I thought
that
the direction you were
sucks,
going
too.
is a lot of casual fans. I'll run into people who I can tell there's so many. It's irritating with the NFL because there's a lot of casual fans. And when you're not a casual fan, you talk to people and they're like, you don't know what you're talking about. So
Right.
it's like, I know it's the Browns. I know they haven't won anything. You could just put it on paper and look at it objectively. I mean, Vegas doesn't mess around with odds.
No.
They're 9th or 10th. It's like,
No.
you're 9th or 10th for a reason.
Right.
Vegas isn't going to give.
Moving over this way a little bit. Just getting some of your head.
So I wanted to ask you, talking about the betting then, because
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
that's a good bet. How do you bet on soccer? Like you're just betting one goal versus another? It's like
a good
because there's
question.
I have to be honest. I don't really know that much about
It's-
wagering when it comes to soccer. A lot of times, I know you just bet the game straight up. You
Yeah,
can,
straight up. It's just match winner.
Yeah, you can
Oh,
bet straight
okay.
up. You can bet on points as well. Like for example, who has the most points at the end of a season, which not necessarily means like what place you're in
Right.
either, because you can win on an aggregate. You can win a championship based on an aggregate, not based on the championship game as well.
Oh,
So-
I did not know that.
There's a lot of variables.
Soccer's funky.
Soccer is very funky when it comes to that type
You
of stuff.
you played when you were a kid?
No.
No.
No, I
your dad did.
My father absolutely loves soccer. He didn't play when he was a kid either. No, and I mean, and if he did, I say this with love. He played with with like rocks and stuff.
Right.
Like there was no playing soccer in
when did-
northern Portugal in the 40s like that. I mean, it was a tough time. I'm honestly somewhat new to soccer, and it's only in the last few years.
Okay.
the talent when they have that ball at their feet, the ability to pass it to
amazing.
somebody else or score. That's what's
mind-blowing.
interesting about
Yeah.
that game. It goes back and forth, back and forth. But when a scoring play occurs, it's bang.
It's fast and
incredible.
it's lightning fast, and like a lot of guys will pick on soccer players about physique and about things like that.
Right.
The thing that they don't realize, and things that I've learned over the last few years, is a lot of those, not a lot, just about every one of those players have been playing since they were like low single digit age.
Right.
And they've been brought up and conditioned a certain way. And if you want to talk about like, oh, they're skinny, there's no muscles or anything like that, you have no idea what the hell you're talking about. You got
That's
to
right.
look at a Ronaldo. You got to look
Right.
at like these guys are in shape that most athletes can't
Right.
even imagine being in.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there's
well-
smaller versions of an NBA player.
I was going to
perhaps,
say, I'd imagine
conditioning-wise.
it's cardiovascular wise, excluding track and field and that stuff. It's got to be
Yeah.
them in basketball because
Right.
even in basketball, there's a whistle. There's no whistle football and soccer.
good point. There is no
it's
timeouts.
larger than a football field, so they're going nonstop, like you said, for 90 minutes with one break in the middle. That's why they're skinny. You want to talk about? I mean, they're lean. They're not skinny as a former
Lean is a
bodybuilder.
good way.
I don't do skinny. That's
Exactly. No,
that's a bad word.
That's the perfect word for it. They're not skinny. It's a fact of being lean. You're talking about them walking around with like, of BMIs in single digits. these
Right.
guys.
Oh yeah. They
Like,
can. None of them can be over 5% body fat.
yeah, and
whatever it is.
they're all they're all completely pure. I mean, the amount of stamina that you need to play in the heat and the cold.
Yeah, the weather's wild.
whatever, and they play all year long.
Right.
You're in good shape. What do? You have a routine?
I wouldn't say I'm in good shape because I
Oh,
look
all right.
at myself and I want to fucking puke in the morning. But just from my own thing in the mirror. That's why if my wife, if her eyesight ever gets fixed, I'm
That's a
fucked.
problem, yeah.
Like it's over, man. It's over. Like I keep breaking her glasses.
Good
I keep
information,
calling,
then-
canceling the optometrist appointment.
Yeah, we're out of town.
Today, I'm sorry, not gonna be able to come in. And then she gets there like, oh, you canceled your appointment. Sorry, like Magoo leaving the place, when she gets back home
Magoo.
again.
Most people are going to get that.
I was going to say,
No,
you just,
That's awesome.
That's all right.
anyone younger than me just lost that.
If I
Right.
show,
Mr.
if
Magoo,
you don't
love
understand, what Magoo is, people, fucking grab your phone and Google that shit,
Google it.
and you'll see what I'm talking
Just
about.
Google it, man. Mr.
And she's
Magoo.
nowhere near. She's nowhere near a Magoo. I'm just saying, I'm trying to
Yes.
keep her, or
Right, I get
turn
it.
her into one for
No.
my own.
I like your style so far, dude.
Yeah,
you're bringing her up right.
So I love how you say bring her. Up.
Right.
Well, yeah, no,
Well,
I agree
she's
with bringing her
younger
up.
than
You got,
love that.
fancy North Jersey guy over here. He brings his
Right.
pretty wife over from the Midwest,
Right.
Get
Gotta
her,
teach
get her to
South,
watch
yeah, from the
Sopranos.
South,
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm sorry, down
Right.
from the South. And,
gotta teach her. I think
make
you're
sure
doing
she
a nice
can't
job.
Yeah.
see you.
So I don't, where I'm not at all pleased. One of the things that I did was I did set a 7-month goal, right? Because I'm big on sevens and
Right.
on my whole rule of seven.
We're
and
going
everything.
there next. Actually.
So one of my 7-month goals is actually to be in the best shape of my life when I get to my birthday, which is 7 months away.
Good.
I even tried to cheat my 7-month goal by giving myself a couple of extra months,
Right. I'll start sooner. You mean?
ahead of time, yeah, and start a little sooner. So no, the only thing I do is I try to eliminate sugar as much as I can. That cheesesteak is the first cheesesteak I've had in a while.
we are-
And if
I know that's 2 days in a row we've ruined somebody.
Yeah,
we did it
Because you're just like,
yesterday.
well, I'm doing a cleanse. I'm like,
Alagona,
"Ah."
we
you
did
gave one to Anthony too,
yeah,
right? Yeah.
Same thing,
figured
man.
Troy,
Destroy him.
Yeah.
Troy, same
Yeah.
deal.
Yeah, Troy's in that.
We got to get some unhealthy people on here, man.
Right.
Naomi
Yeah.
yesterday, she's like, I can't eat that. I'm like,
Well, that's actually what you should do. This should
Maybe
be like
we-
the table of temptation or something. You know what I mean? And you
Yeah.
have to start with the cheesesteaks,
Right.
and afterwards, you got Mr. Softy over here.
Yeah.
Where the fuck did you find this?
That's
Ask
Ernie's.
Ernie.
Isn't
Is
that
yours?
awesome?
This
Yeah.
is like
That
it's
is
like
cool.
Smithsonian shit
Crazy.
right
Yeah.
here, man.
Dude,
That's
like
cool.
You don't even see Mr. Softy trucks anymore.
Oh no, yeah, you
No.
do. My one of my good friends owns
In Cherry Hill
5
you
or
do.
6
Oh,
of them.
really?
Yeah.
In New York and Jersey, they're like North Jersey. They're a guy.
Well,
Yeah, down south.
Ernie lives in Cherry Hill.
Cherry,
all that,
Cherry Hill's
yeah.
the closest thing to Ohio that I found when I came out to New Jersey. I drive through Cherry Hill. I'm like, yes, I want to live here. This is great.
It's
It's
actually
malls
Ohio.
and
Yeah.
shops
Yeah.
and restaurants. It's all retail.
And I want to pay $20,000
Yeah,
a year in
right,
taxes
right.
for a $300,000 home.
Yeah, let's not even go down there.
Yeah,
I know. I
well,
talked about it
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
Anthony yesterday. I'm like, we're gonna get a letter from somebody in New Jersey saying,
Yeah.
cease and desist.
Right. Yeah, Jersey's
hurting.
cool.
Like, is
You're-
talking shit about the taxes and stuff.
Yeah.
The facts. Look, facts are facts.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, they are.
That's why we moved.
Yeah, I mean it's
It's
absolutely it's ridiculous.
you
It's
moved where?
insane.
It's fucking ridiculous.
Business tax.
He didn't move. I moved.
oh,
I said
he
I
moved.
moved.
Business tax, number one. State tax, number one.
Yep.
Car insurance costs,
Crazy.
number one.
Yep.
I mean, it's really
Property taxes.
It's like, and we.
I mean, property taxes.
property
Conversation's
taxes
over.
are insane.
Yeah, it's not even close.
And it's like, it's not, it's beyond borderline stupid. When we shut down our brick and mortars, we had 3 at one time. We
Yep.
shut them down because all 33 people work for AutoMax work from home. So there literally is no reason for us to be here. Like literally none.
Yeah.
And I don't.
still
it's
here.
Like I was like, oh man.
That sounds like the whole state of New Jersey. Everybody's like, there's no reason for me to be here. I don't know why they're here.
Well,
you can't-
it's
you can't-
cool, man. You got the shore. You get, an hour from Philly,
I
2
get
hours
it.
from New
Wa-
York.
exactly all that. But if you sell your property, then were you able to? I thought there was some kind of.
That's not real. That's a
Yeah.
myth. So I could go into it. It's actually what they enacted, and you're talking about the movers tax.
Yeah, move out.
They came up with it because quote unquote wealthy homeowners who had paid off their house or people that were retiring would retire to Florida
Right.
and then sell their home.
Right.
And because they lived in Florida and there's no state income tax,
Right.
they'd get all the capital gains from the sale of their house completely tax free. So
Right.
New
Right.
Jersey said, well, that shit's not going to fly. We need to
Right.
get our cut from you selling your $750,000 house that's
Right.
paid off.
Yeah,
Right.
that you bought for $34,000.
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
So you get an exemption up to $500,000. If you clear $500,000 or more on your house, or it's not your primary residence, they,
Right.
they get the shubes too, who have their big vacation homes down at the shore. If you sell a vacation
Right.
home that's not your primary residence,
Right.
then you have to pay a percentage of the capital gains goes to the state of
Yeah.
New Jersey.
Yeah. When that bill came out, it sounded
Yes.
and was pitched
Yes.
Right.
completely
Well,
different.
and
obviously.
the fact of the matter is, it's a mass exodus from the state of New Jersey. So
Yeah.
people just put it hand in hand. Oh shit, everybody's leaving. They start taxing them so people wouldn't
well,
leave the state.
we need less people, but less people are going to raise our taxes. But we're overpopulated. I think we have the highest population per square foot
Population
in the
density?
country. Yeah, it's great. It is.
it is
kind
a
of
bit
crazy.
overpopulated.
Let's
Still
go
no
to-
better place to live. Still no better
like
place
it.
to live.
You know, I really enjoy.
Where
it.
else are you going to get an egg? You know, where else are you going to get a pepper and egg sandwich
Right.
on a hoagie?
Exactly right,
Right,
man.
well,
Like it's not going to happen. So
Right.
you know,
There's-
you can keep your you can keep your low property taxes.
yeah,
and
there's
everything.
so many
You know,
positives.
Delaware.
And I was only here for 12 years, and I didn't expect it. I went to move, and we had to live with my dad for 2 months. There was a transition from us selling our house in New Jersey and moving our house in Delaware. So we crashed at my dad's house with the whole clan for a couple months, which
Yeah.
was cool.
It was awesome.
And I went to move, and I broke down. I just bursted into tears the night before we left. I'm like, holy shit, it's like New Jersey became home.
Yeah.
I hated it. I bitched about it. I complained about it. I was ready to move before I met my wife, who's from New Jersey. I was ready to go down to Florida with my friends,
Yeah.
and I ended up staying, and it just grows on you. It's
It
does.
crazy.
That's the
It's
thing.
so weird.
That's the thing about New Jersey and living in New Jersey. It's like you're allowed to talk shit about it as much as you want because you live here.
Right.
God forbid anybody says
Right.
anything. God forbid. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? You know, your inner Tony Soprano is going to come out. And you're going to you're going to find a piece of wire somewhere
Yeah.
and you're going to be choking them in the
Have you ever eaten at Chef Vola's down in Atlantic City?
No.
Okay, you got the Soprano cast used to hang out there.
Yeah, check out Bola's.
All right, so there's no phone number. You
Okay.
can't make a reservation.
Is this the place you just show up and you just kind of like knock on
Well,
the door
you-
type of thing?
There's a phone number.
Kinda.
You gotta get the phone number
Yeah,
from
you
somebody.
Yeah, you got to be referred, kind of.
Okay.
It's the basement of a house, like legit.
I think Jim Ziegler was talking to me about this.
Oh, did he?
Somebody was talking to me about it. I'm
It's-
shutting my phone
It's
off
pretty
because
cool.
this thing
You got to
is blowing
you
up.
got
Let
you
me
got to
know
go
if,
there.
let me know if you
see-
want to go, and I'll give you the number.
Yeah, you need to know somebody.
Veal chop parm. Don't
We
get-
should just all go one night.
We should go.
We should
That's a
just all
great
go.
idea.
I
That's
don't-
a really
I
good
don't know why
idea.
we're sitting here talking about
We
this.
should do
That's
it
a
this summer.
real good
It's
idea.
awesome in the summertime. They got a porch and stuff. We should definitely go in the summer.
I can remember standing outside. I had my meal or whatever, and I'm standing outside smoking a cigarette, and these tourists come by. Is that Chef Vola's? Yeah. How'd you get in? Well, I know somebody. "Oh, you really do have to know somebody? I said, well, yeah, kind of. It's not that cloak and dagger,
Yeah.
but yeah, you kind of. There's no sign, no. I mean, it's
Yeah.
like
Just somebody's
it's
house.
the
It's a
basement of
house.
the house.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, man.
Yeah, it's a
Food's
good
like
experience.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
Food's
The ambiance is like about a 2.
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
I mean,
but
there's
that's
plastic vines going through the ceiling. I mean, it's hokey.
Jersey.
The toilet's in the kitchen.
Yeah, you gotta go through the kitchen a little bit.
Right.
somebody's
You get-
house. Right?
Right.
It is. It's like mom's basement. It's pretty cool.
I like that.
Let's go. Let's go to the sevens. The rule of sevens. Give it to us. Let's change some lives here. Take us through this.
So okay, so I can't tell you without telling the story.
Please.
Right? Without telling the story, and through the course of my life up to today, I firmly feel that every day is going to be the best day, and every up to from this point forward to this year is going to be the best year, and and all that. So there were 2 times in my life when it was like sucked. When it sucked, when it was really shit. And through those two times in my life, this is where I executed and where I put together basically this rule of sevens. And I didn't fully realize that the whole thing fell together properly until just a few months ago. That was it. It was just a few months ago because let me think about this. So in early December, I was driving to the barbershop, as a matter of fact, right? I was driving to the barbershop. We had just moved in our new home in Freehold. I was driving to the barbershop, and I had went a way that I normally wouldn't go. There was like construction or a detour or something. So I turned down this street to go onto Route 9, and I'm driving past the garden apartment complex that I moved into when I had first gotten divorced. Okay, in 2011, and I was like, and I was like, oh wow, like I haven't driven past here like in years, So for some ungodly reason, I go and I pull in, right? So I pull into the place, and as I'm driving into the driveway into the complex, I'm saying to myself, my God, why did I even move here? Like, what in the world brought me here? Like, of all the places. So I go in, and I'm trying to remember how to get to the apartment I lived in, and I make a right, and I remember back that my daughter Julie lived in that apartment complex, and that's why I wound up moving there, because she was right there. Because she was right there,
Gotcha.
which then made me reflect back to the point of when I first got divorced. I didn't have a place to live.
Right.
And I stayed with her for 2 weeks. I make a joke all the time that you can't be a social media influencer, or you can't have any type of a comeback story unless you've slept on someone's couch.
Right.
It just doesn't work.
It's
you know
recurring.
what I mean?
It's a recurring theme on our podcast.
Yeah,
here,
right.
For sure.
Like I would say it as a joke, and I was like, "Holy shit!" I lived on my daughter's couch for 2 weeks. Oh wow. Okay, so that fell together.
Now
yeah.
all I got to do is yell at people.
Yeah,
I'm good.
I checked that one off. I already cuss, so that one's
Right,
good.
you're
That
good.
one's done as well. That one's all totally organic speech as well.
Right.
So I go and I remember where the place is. I pull in front and I take my phone and I snap a picture, right, of the door to the place. And I'm sitting there for a minute. I'm looking out the window and I'm like, shit, I'm going to be late for my friggin' haircut, right? So I just pull away. I don't grab the phone anymore. I don't think about anything. Done. So I wake up on New Year's Day. And the first thing in my mind is that picture that I took. So I take the picture and I'm like, oh, I got to share this. I got to share this out. I put together some of my best social media content in bed when I first wake up, like in that little gray area. I talk about that gray area a lot as well. When you first wake up, when you don't really, when you're a little half asleep, a little half awake, when everything in the world is like tranquil and perfect and it's fine and there's no issues and there's no bills and there's no nothing.
Yeah, man.
I have 3 kids under 6. I have no idea what the hell you're talking about. I'm
You
sitting
have
over
it-
here shaking my head, and I'm like, what the fuck is he talking about?
You have
That's
it,
the worst
Joe.
part of my day, every day of my life.
You do have that little gray area time. The only thing is that yours is like lightning quick. And
right,
you don't
right.
even
15.
realize.
You're right. 15 minutes from 6 when I actually wake up to when the baby wakes up around 6:15. You're right.
For you, it's like milliseconds
Yes.
before you realize what's going on.
There
in
you
your,
go. Sorry, go ahead.
What the hell's going on in your life? So I go to put that post up on Facebook, and for some reason, usually I will, like, if I'm going to do something with a picture, and this is stupid, but it all falls together. Usually I'll just write all the caption and I'll put the picture in afterwards. I put the picture in first.
Right.
Which is odd, right? So I'm looking at this and I type in 7 years ago, I used to, I lived in this garden apartment, blah, 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 because I was laying in bed in the new house. This is already New Year's Eve.
Right.
And I'm like, oh my God, 7 years. Right.
Right.
So then that whole day I spent, like, it was a very hard day because I did a tremendous amount of self-reflection, in one day. And through that, how the way our lives are and the way our brains are, I mean, we're just going to shut off as much of the bad shit as we possibly can.
Absolutely.
And I realized that it took me 7 years to basically turn everything around and get myself to the point of where I really wanted to be the day that I moved into that apartment 7 years prior. It took me 7 years to put all of the things back and to put them back in a way better than they were before.
Right.
So then I started to reverse engineer what I actually did, like how I broke things down. And I would look at my own organic behavior through the way that I would set goals and the way that I would measure those goals, the way I would set up my day, the way I would set up a week, the way I would set up every moment that we're just, that we're just sitting here, whatever it is that we're going through, I would reverse engineer that all the way back. And that's basically what I did all day, New Year's Day.
And when you say write, are you talking about you're writing it down or you're, I mean, what?
I'm talking about every
the
behavior
process.
that goes along with it. I'm very big on writing things by hand. I think
Right.
that when you write things by hand,
Remember
it's almost like you're like scraping them into
I got my
exactly.
notebook with me.
So
Yeah.
it's a commitment.
It's a commitment part. You're scraping it in. It helps you to remember
Yes.
much better than if you just text. There's something with
does.
the handwriting and, so a lot of, and this is a thing that a lot of people like, this is why there isn't a really good app planner that exists.
Yeah, there is.
That's a good
there
point.
There
isn't.
really isn't a good one. There isn't one that everybody like flocks to or
Right.
everybody uses because they all suck because you're
Right.
not writing with your hand.
Right.
You're right.
Right.
So
Right.
a lot of it doesn't have meaning. A lot of it doesn't have any type of stickiness to it whatsoever. It just,
Yep. Good
you know what
point.
I mean?
Yep.
There's no real impact in it.
Right. So go ahead. I'm sorry.
So then New Year's Day, I spent even more time just rewinding, and I realized that I had used what became the rule of 7. I had used it twice because from back in 1994, I was a broken down, beat up, had 2 kids and living on a shoestring, and I had decided that I didn't want to be a schnook anymore. That I wasn't going to go down, I wasn't going to live my life like that, paycheck to paycheck, hand to mouth, waiting for your fucking income tax return to come so that you could, do something stupid with it, like go to Wildwood or some shit like that,
Yeah.
which I did in 1994.
Yeah.
Which I shouldn't have done.
Yeah. I hear you. I can relate. There's like a lot of people going, oh yeah, that's way.
Yeah.
Right now.
And I used that exact same formula. The thing is from 94 forward, I used that same formula, but I did it just organically. I just did it through my own actions and everything. I didn't realize that was
Yeah.
the way I was setting things up.
Right.
And in 2010, 2011, it was totally like I designed that stuff. Like that's the way that I was working it. I just didn't have it into any type of like a structure or anything to where I could teach you or somebody could read it and follow the exact same thing.
Right.
And what it boils down to is it's all reverse engineering in time frames that are all 7. And if anybody wants to, I won't bore everybody with it, but if you want to do any research on the number 7, there's a reason that it works. And it's basically it's a divine number. It's non-divisible. There's all these types of things about the number 7 that have so much power
They do.
behind
And
them.
have for thousands of years.
Yeah, exactly. So this isn't, putting it into a structure. Yeah, that's mine. But the fact
Right.
that the number 7 is
Right.
what it is has nothing to do with me. I just tapped into it. You know, I
Right.
just tapped into it and used it.
Yeah.
And it starts with setting all of your long-term goals, like your big goals. Those things, they take 7 years. If they take less than 7 years, great. God bless you, man. I mean, you're killing it. But you really have to allow yourself 7 years. 10 years is too long, and 5 years is too short. 5 years is not enough time. 7 years, 7 years is the perfect amount of time. 10 years, too fucking long. Just doesn't work, right? To get to those, and now when I'm talking about those top line 7-year goals, I'm talking about like big stuff, like really big stuff.
Give us an example.
Like you want to become president.
Okay.
If you said to yourself you wanted to get into politics and you want to become president, you don't have a chance of running for president of the United States until 7 years from now. That's about how long it's going to take you to get through your state, to get into the Senate, to get you know what I mean, to take or to get yourself enough awareness and enough popularity to
Right.
be able to get considered in a very serious manner for that type of an office.
Okay.
If you were you're into weightlifting. If you wanted to compete and win Mr. Olympia, it would more than likely take you 7 years.
Sure.
Because you have a whole series
Right.
of steps that you need to go through before you can get to whatever that big top line goal is. The people that are in the car business that are watching, it's going to take you 7 years to get to a general manager position. It's going to take you 7 years to get to a partner position, no matter where you are. If you're a general manager now, it's probably going to take you 7 years to get to where you own your own store.
Right.
You-
Gotcha.
You can look at any one of those types of
The
things.
big ones.
The big ones. The really the big stuff that you want to do. It's going to take you 7. It's going to take you 7 years.
Okay.
Within those 7 years, there are going to be these increments of 7-month goals that you're going to have to hit. Every one of the steps to get to whatever that big goal is going to take you 7 months to get to. Some of them may take you 5. Great, you're ahead. Some of them are going to take you 9 because you fucked off, or you did something wrong, or you made a mistake, or you changed your mind.
Okay.
You know, so it's going to take you 7 months to get to that spot. So, like, let's
Gotcha.
say, for example, if I wanted to start to compete in bodybuilding, right, in the condition that I'm in right now, to where I could actually start to get into a training regime for competition, would take me about 7 months.
Gotcha.
Okay.
To get to that point. I couldn't just start training for competition now.
Right,
I'd
right,
kill
right,
myself.
right.
Right. Exactly.
You know, I'd
Right.
kill myself. I'd dehydrate I would mess
Right.
up my
Sure.
body. I
End
would
up
do
taking you longer.
Yeah, exactly. I
you're
would
not
hurt
prepared.
myself, and it wound up taking me longer, you know? So all of those steps that you have to take to get to whatever that top line big goal is, they are going to be in 7-month increments.
Gotcha.
It's going to take you 7 months to get to each one of them.
Okay.
To get to those 7-month goals, right, are going to be 7-week trials. And within those 7-week trials, the 7-week part of it is really the most important one of all, believe it or not.
Say that again.
The 7-week increment,
Right.
right, to get to your 7-month goals,
Right.
what you're going to have to do for 7 weeks at a time,
Yeah. Okay.
that's really where, those are the most important ones, because that's where you get to really make decisions. That's where you really get to think about things, because you also have to make sure that you give yourself flexibility. Just because you say you want to
Yeah.
do something,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
like I may say, okay, I want to start to compete in bodybuilding, which I
Right.
don't want to do, but you
Right.
know, I'm just using it as an example.
Right.
I want to start to compete in bodybuilding, right?
Right.
After 3 months, I may find out that my body can't handle it.
Right.
Sure.
Can't take it.
Well, it's more measurable then.
Yes.
Because it's shorter time period.
Exactly. So if you just use the 7-month thing,
Right.
most of the time you'll give up.
Right.
Too long.
Right. That's a New Year's resolution thing
Yeah.
broken down into 7 months. But yeah.
And you
right.
think about it, most New Year's resolutions are broken within 7 weeks.
They're gone.
Yeah.
They're gone.
Right.
What was your New Year's resolution?
I don't make them.
Okay. What was yours, Joe?
Yeah, I'll make 'em either.
Okay, come on, help me. Give me something.
Physically fit, and I'm
Yeah.
on it.
Yeah, you are on it. You like on it.
Yeah.
So within those 7 weeks, either you're gonna get past that 7-week mark and you're gonna keep going. It's not going to stop you. That whole thing about how you develop a habit within 21 days, yeah,
Right.
that's a habit of like scratching the side of your nose or some shit. You know what I mean? That's not a real habit of like going to the gym 4 times a week
Right.
and cutting all carbs out of your
Right.
diet and no more alcohol, because that just turns it all into sugar.
Yeah.
And sleep patterns and all of that stuff. It's going to take you 7 weeks to realize if you really want to do it or not, if you can do it or not, if you're strong enough to commit to it, right? And if it's really fucking worth it to you.
Right.
A lot of things we say to ourselves we want to do,
Wow.
and then we start to get into it, it's not worth it.
That's important.
So you need to have those 7-week marks where you can reflect back and say, okay, over the last 7 weeks, I've done this, this, and this, and this.
Right.
A, do I want to stick with this or not?
Right.
Yes. Okay. If yes, then okay, now I know I got to go to the gym more. I'm only getting to the gym 2 days a week.
Right.
I'm never going to be able to hit where I want to be in 7 months with just
Right.
going 2 days a week. I got to reevaluate.
Right.
I got to reevaluate, and I got to go 3 days a week.
All right. So our audience right now, basically being, who knows who's listening, it's like, I went over the analytics of the YouTube channel. 24 to 35, 98%.
I didn't know you got analytics.
98% of our listeners.
Good.
Well, that's YouTube.
Yeah, it's from YouTube.
Yeah, I'm saying that's what YouTube is.
yeah.
That's who's watching YouTube.
So a lot of people are automotive. So this is important for, well, it's important for anything. What you're saying right now, which I want to go deeper with, and I apologize for interrupting, but I think it's a point where we should make this point, is that the car business set up almost polar opposite to that.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, it's 30 days or it's a year. You know, what are you going to do this year? 300. You know, what are you going to do this month? 30. You know, and if the
Right.
guy's never done over 7. You know, breaking it down this way, those of you that are able to right now, take notes. Be writing this stuff down that Frank's talking about. This is strong stuff. And then I'll say one more thing, and then I'll let you continue. What's happening every single podcast we do?
Learning a whole bunch of shit.
Unbelievable. It's like, this is
Free
so
information.
selfish. This is so selfish.
Great for you. I know.
It's like, who is it? It's like, it's like after every podcast, I'm smarter. I feel like I'm
Absolutely.
smarter
More
because of the
successful,
guest.
better business
It's
person.
like, wow, it's awesome.
You think you're doing it for others, but in
Right,
essence,
screw
you're, doing
that,
it-
man.
you're
I-
actually really doing this for
I
yourself.
wanna get smarter.
It's just a big growth thing, you know.
So
Like, take it and work it into the car business. If you're in the car business, I mean, look, for in reality's sake, okay, you cannot fall into the 30-day trap.
No,
you
man.
just can't do it because you're going to kill yourself.
You
You're going to
are.
run yourself ragged and you're going to kill yourself. You have to ignore all of that and work within whatever parameter of time is going to work best for you of what you want to do. Because, like, okay, so here's number one. It takes, if you're a green pea, it takes you 7 weeks to realize if you want to even do this or not.
Sure,
yeah, man.
Okay. It takes you 7 weeks to realize if you're cut out for it
Yep.
or not.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
Yep.
So just to say after the first 30 days, that's not enough.
No.
That's not enough time to be able to really, give it a good shake and know that if it's something that you even want to do.
Yeah.
Okay. And with the amount of change that goes on in the car business, all you got to do is wait 7 weeks because if there's something that you don't like, it's probably going to change within 7 weeks' time anyway.
Oh, that's funny.
So who gives a shit, right?
That's really
just
true.
Sit back.
I've never heard anybody say that.
Just sit back. You
Yeah,
also,
relax, dude.
just relax.
It's
It's
gonna
going to
change.
change. And if it doesn't change in 7 weeks, it'll definitely change in 7 months. Like,
Yeah.
half of the sales
Fact.
staff will probably change in 7 months,
Yeah,
unfortunately.
you bet. Yeah, unfortunately.
But and also you're not going to get fired within the first 7 weeks unless you do something really, really stupid.
Yeah.
Like
That's true.
shit on the general manager's desk.
That
And,
would-
that's going to get you fired within 7 weeks.
Yeah, that'll work.
But besides that, if you just if you're just like finding your way, you know what I
Right.
mean, and trying to work
Right.
through it, you more than likely have a 7 week grace period of fucking things up.
Yeah.
Unless you're a complete fuck up yourself.
Right.
Too,
Or
you
a
know?
regime change and they blow everybody out. But yeah, I would agree with what you're saying 100%.
So you can that's another thing about this is you can take this and you can work it into almost any type of industry and you can work it into almost any type of goal setting or anything that you want to do. My trainer, for example, right? So one of the things I did do is I did commit. I did commit and and I have a trainer that I don't go to as much as I should, but with travel and everything, you guys will attest.
Yeah,
It's hard when you're 4 states away,
Yeah.
3 days a week.
Yeah.
But even with him, he wanted to create, and he's in the process right now of creating an app, right? Because not only does he do training, he's a chiropractor, and he's very big in gaming. So he coaches and works with a lot of like professional gamers.
Really?
I'm talking about gamers like that make like $1 million
yeah,
a
yeah.
year gamers,
Yeah.
like real.
That's mind blowing, isn't
Yeah,
it?
like real stuff.
Wow.
So he has training apps for them. He has all this kind of stuff. And we looked back, right, in the time that I've been working with him, from the time that he first started talking about creating this app to the time that he got his prototype,
7 weeks,
right?
7 months.
So it was 7 months in
Right.
planning, and it took him 7 weeks to get the prototype, and now he has one.
That's crazy.
And he's like, "How did that happen?" And I said, "Because that's the way it works, man. It's power bigger than me. It's
That's
bigger.
interesting.
All I've been able to do was take it and put it into a frame.
Right.
I was just able to frame it out so you could see it, but it was
Right.
always, it's always there. And whenever you go against it,
Right.
that's when you screw up. Hence why, the car business is screwed up with the 30-day model. It just doesn't work. It's too short a time.
Yeah.
It's way too short a time.
Yeah. And all the stress gets put into the last 3 days, and it's insane.
We could do a whole show about that shit, but
yeah.
to be honest, I think we have better
Right.
things to talk about than
Yeah, you bet.
talk about than that. So those three time frames are what work into the planning process, right?
Okay, gotcha.
And then you have 4 time frames that work into the actual execution process. So look, I say a lot of bad words. Okay, I say a lot of things that sometimes some people may find offensive. Right?
Would you like to tally, by the way?
Well, no. Let's save it for the end.
Okay.
Save it for the end.
We're
right?
about midway. Can I do a midway point?
Do a midway
so,
point. See
So
where we're
currently on the Frank swear meter, we are at 12 F-bombs and
That's light.
Way below.
2 asses, and 7 shits.
Those are rookie numbers. I got to get those
All
numbers
right,
up.
step it up.
You know?
Yeah.
Fucking step it up,
Yeah,
Frank.
those are rookie numbers.
Yeah, Canning would kill you.
I know.
He'd be destroying you right
So
now.
so look, so I'm just gonna, anybody who's watching, this is your warning right now, right? You know,
Right.
I'm gonna say a 4-letter word that
Yeah.
most people don't like. Okay?
All right.
And that word is work. All right? That's probably the biggest
dare you.
and
That's
most
preposterous.
offensive, exactly, and most offensive 4-letter word in the English language in America today is work.
Yeah, man.
Okay, so any one of those goals that you may set, or anybody who's watching, any of the goals that you may set,
Yeah.
you're going to have to fucking work
Yes.
to actually make it happen.
Yes.
The whole thing about The Secret and about how you put out positive vibes and
Right.
positive vibes come
Manifest it.
back and manifest back into you. Well, guess what? That works, okay? But you got to
You gotta
work
work.
at it. You have
Right.
to actually do it, and you have to do it in the first
Yeah.
place.
You can't think yourself out of having those weeds come out of your garden.
Exactly.
You got to go pull them.
You have to actually go pull them,
Right.
you know? And then by pulling, the way that it works, So I can't just say that 7 months from now, I want to be in the best physical shape of my life. I
Right.
can't do that. I have
Right.
to actually do the work.
Right.
I have to go to the gym. I have to work, I have to work out with Corey. I have to watch what I eat. I have to do all of the things that I need to do to actually get it to happen, right? So those next 4 time frames, right? Like number one, no matter what it is that you're going to want to do, you're going to have to work at it 7 days a week.
Okay, that's fair enough.
That's just the way it works.
Yeah.
It's going to have to be a 7-day week type of thing, no
Right.
matter what it is. You're going to have to touch it
Right.
at least once every single day. You cannot
Right.
take a day off. Now,
Right. Well, it becomes part of your life.
Yeah,
Obviously, if you're 7 days a week.
Yeah,
So
it has to become a part of your culture.
Right.
Now, I'm not saying that you don't take time off. I'm not saying that you don't spend time with family. I'm not saying any of that. Don't anybody go down that fucking road, because that's
Right.
that's not what I'm talking about.
Right.
I'm talking about the fact that if like we're watching what we're eating and we want to get fit, right? Like that means that every single day you watch what you eat. Like cheat
Right.
days are bullshit. They're total bullshit.
yeah,
It-
finding that out.
if you have yourself into a workout regime, right, where you're working out 4 days a week, that means that you work out 4 days a week, and the other 3 days you don't sit on your ass all day long, right?
Right.
And eat fucking ice cream and stuff. That means
Right.
you have to be disciplined for all of
Yeah.
those days.
Yeah. Well-
If you're working hard on your career, you're going to have to put in some work every single day. And you can talk to I don't care who it is, you can talk to anybody about what they did to get to where they are right now. You can talk to the Gary V's, you can talk to the Grants, you can talk to the Ali Ritas, you can talk to, I don't care who it is, you can talk to Jesus. He worked on that shit 7 days. Okay, it wasn't just church on Sunday.
Yeah, man.
You know what I mean? He was doing his thing, and he was spreading the word. He was putting it all together 7 days a week. So you have to be completely committed. It has to be about you. It's not going
Right.
to be that you're just going to wake up one day and you're suddenly going to be Mr. Olympia, like somebody's going to come and put the friggin' ribbon on you. Like, no.
Frank,
Yeah,
if I can just jump in for 1 second with what you're saying, I do think that if you take your mind off the ball, to your point of the 7 days, every day doing, you'll screw up really fast. And then it compounds itself where you'll continue to keep making mistakes and take you off that track. So what you're saying about every day, because I was curious, the 7-week thing, that's 49 days is what I was thinking. So I was thinking you're blocking things into 49-day increments. But I like what you're saying. It's really an everyday within those 7 days. So.
Yes.
But even within that framework of 7 days, and you have to be on it every single day, I think bodybuilding is the perfect apparatus for this, because when your muscles grow is on recovery days. Your muscles don't grow when you're in the gym tearing them down. And those days off are massively important for hypertrophy and muscle growth. And it's usually active recovery too. So you're still walking on the treadmill, doing something like that. And like you said, and then the diet is massively important. And you need to fine tune your diet for the recovery days. So I think bodybuilding is a perfect example of it. But even from a career standpoint, I think the recovery days and the off days are still part of achieving your goal. I use Sundays, and I have some busy work things that I have to do on Sunday to make sure interviews are lined up for our campaigns that are starting on Monday. But Sunday is my mind reset day. And if you don't take the mindset reset day when you need to, or you don't spend time with your family, that's all part of it too.
Right.
Because I'm just going to crash and burn if I don't have some time to spend with my family and unwind a little bit. So
And
even
that-
in relaxing, it's part of it.
That's perfect. That goes perfectly into my point, right? That's what I'm saying. Like, it doesn't mean that, like, you turn into some kind of a fucking ogre where you
Yeah.
just like
Nazi, crazy
Nazi
person.
type. That's not what I'm saying whatsoever about the
Right.
7-day thing. But if you didn't prep yourself for work on Sunday,
Right, for the upcoming week.
okay, and you sat on
Right.
your ass and you watched Game of Thrones instead of actually doing
Right.
what you needed to do, how far behind would you be on Monday when you
Sure.
started?
Yeah, well, Monday becomes Sunday then.
Yeah, then
Right.
Monday becomes Sunday, and the first
Yeah.
3/4 of your Monday are shot because you're
Yeah.
just getting your shit together.
Yeah,
When-
I've been through that. I think we've all been down that road, right?
Yeah.
It's like not planning ahead. It's kind of like it's sort of similar to you're in a gigantic ship, yacht, whatever, and you point your course, and you get off, and you start this much off, and by the end of 100 miles, 200, 1,000
way
miles,
off. Oh,
you're
you're
like on
way
another
out.
continent,
Yeah,
man.
perfect analogy, yeah.
So it's important, I think, that we follow. And again, guys, these are nuggets. Take notes out there. It's like this is
helpful.
awesome stuff. So
Yeah, for sure.
please continue.
So so the 7-day thing. Now, when you're in the zone, okay, when you're in the zone and when you're dedicated to this, it's also going to take you somewhere around 7 hours a day, all put together of work. Right now, most people when
Real
they go
work.
real work.
Right.
I'm talking about real, like
Actually doing stuff.
yeah, like nose down, focused, not fucking around on the phone,
Yeah.
not on.
Yep.
I'm talking about just work. Like you're
Yep.
dialed in, and this is what you're doing.
Gotcha.
When
Yep.
you're doing it, it's going to take you 7 hours a day to do it. And once again, this doesn't mean that you work out for 7 hours a day. That's not what I'm talking about. That that
Right.
you're picking them up and putting them down for 7 hours. That's
Right.
not it.
Right.
It's the combination of I'm working out. I'm doing some cardio. I'm watching what I eat.
Right.
Top
Top of
Research-
mind awareness or
Research,
mindfulness.
reading something.
reading something in the zone all the
Right.
time. It's going to take you
Gotcha.
7 hours of labor every single day to be able to get this to to be able to get it to work. And you say, well, I don't need to do it now. I can work 4
Right.
hours a day.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll see you in 13 years.
Right.
Right. Or I can work 12 hours a day and do nothing tomorrow.
Right. Yeah, like Tim
Yeah.
Ferriss. Like as much as I like Tim Ferriss, and as much I've
Right.
met him a few times,
Yeah.
great guy and everything. Right? Guess how long it took him to write that friggin' book? It didn't take him. It didn't take him 4 hours.
Right.
Okay, it took him a long time to write the 4-hour work week, and
Right.
everybody just goes for that.
That's funny.
With the 4, I only have to work 4 hours. No, read the freaking book, man. It's not at all what he's saying. He's talking about maximizing time and working smarter and harder. And that's another one too. Like well, I don't have to work 7 hours a day. I don't have to do that 7 days of work. I work fucking smart. I work smart. You work hard. I work smart. It's like, no, dumbass. I'm working just as freaking smart as you are. It's just that, I don't get to a point where I say, okay, I got this.
Right.
I know that, like, I never have it. Like, never. Like, whatever amount of success I've achieved is absolutely nothing.
Right.
It's nothing. It's spit compared to what I can achieve.
Right. It's Goggins. David Goggins talks about his 40% rule. It's like when everyone sees him going the way he goes, and the hashtag stay hard and all that. It's like, dude, I'm only at 40%.
I'm only at 40%.
It's like the McConaughey speech that I talked about, where you're constantly chasing the 5-year version of yourself, and you're never going to catch it, but you keep chasing it.
Right.
And that's the whole thing is if you look at the way our brains are wired, okay, and it's just the way that it is. I mean, this is something that is from evolution. The power of it is way beyond anything that's in any of our scope whatsoever, right? There is never a satisfaction. There's not.
Right.
There's
Yeah,
not
it's
a
human
satisfaction.
nature.
That's right.
It's human
It's
nature.
suffering.
Your
brings
satisfaction
success.
is only to get to the next happiness. Happiness
Right.
is it's a thirst that can never
Yeah.
be quenched.
Yeah.
Your happiness just goes on to
Yeah.
the next thing.
Right.
And that doesn't mean that you're not grateful. That doesn't mean that you don't count your blessings. That doesn't mean that you're not, that you don't take in what you have. But it's going to kick into your head. You
Yeah,
know what I
man.
mean? Happiness is just a meal that
Yeah.
it's like a meal. As soon as you eat, you're hungry. It's like Chinese food. You're hungry again, right afterwards. But so if you're fighting that, if you're going through life trying to fight it and trying to justify a certain amount of laziness, okay, that you've installed in yourself of, I have enough money.
Right.
You talk to guys who have a lot of fucking money. Guess what? They never say they have enough money.
Sure.
You never hear them guys say that.
No.
Never.
No.
Because it's not about the money.
No.
The
No.
money is the byproduct.
Right,
The
yeah.
success is the
Yeah,
byproduct.
it's keeping score a little bit. No, that much more.
It's about doing what you love and about continuing on doing
Right.
things all the time.
Right.
How many successful people have you heard about that they like, or how many guys that you hear about that they retire and then they die?
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot.
A lot.
It's scary.
A lot.
That's
because
why
they're-
I'm not stopping working,
Yeah, we
fellas.
know
So
that.
screw you guys.
That's because their life is that's because their life is tied into what they're doing, and it's not that their life is about their work.
Right.
Their work is their life, and
Right.
that's their progression.
Right.
My father's 86. He walks over a mile for over an hour every single day.
God bless him.
And he will tell you he's like if it's bad weather or something and he can't go because he is 86 and he
Right.
doesn't want to slip a
Right.
mile away from home and he's fucked in the middle of the street, right?
Right.
He will tell you, he'll say to you, it's like, my brain. Like,
Yeah.
even at 86, he'll say, like, the way he says it with his Portuguese accent, and every other word is a curse word. I wonder where I get it from. He's like, my fucking brain just no fucking stop. Just tell me, you gotta go, you gotta go, you gotta go.
That's
Right?
awesome.
So he's describing that in the most pure,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
In the most pure and in the most organic way that you can possibly hear it.
Right.
When he says in his broken English, right? When he says to you, my brain just doesn't fucking stop. It just says, you gotta go, you gotta go, you gotta
Right.
go.
Right.
And that is in every single one of us. The problem is that a lot of us over time, it's been homogenized or it's been put down, or somebody somewhere told you that you can't do something. Like I always use the line in Rocky movies. Somebody always has to tell Rocky that he can't do something.
Right.
You know what I mean?
You're a
Right.
bum, Rock.
Yeah,
You're
it's
a
got to
bum.
be Mick. It's got to be either in the beginning it's Mick, telling them this guy will knock you halfway to Sunday, Rock, right? Or it's going to be
Apollo.
It's going to be Apollo saying this guy will kill you, right? It's
Right.
going to be Adrian saying you can't win.
Yeah, or her brother.
Right. Or Paulie
Paul,
always putting them down,
Right.
constantly, right?
Right.
But until somebody at some time or something, you more than likely did it to yourself as well at some point because you listened to some of this shit.
Yeah.
That's why a lot of people just don't go for it
Yeah.
because they're just pushed down.
Negative self-talk
Just negative self-talk, which is extremely, extremely addictive
and dangerous.
and dangerous.
Easy to fall into.
Yeah.
It's more comfortable than the alternative, I think, sometimes.
Oh, of course, because the alternative comes with truth.
Right. And
Right?
commitment, work.
And commitment. The negative.
Work, yeah.
And
yeah.
work.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Expectations.
The negative comes with whatever bullshit you want to feed yourself because
Right.
you'll pretty much believe anything you tell yourself.
Right. The
And I
stories we
there's
There's
tell.
no one there to tell you.
contradict, right?
Yeah, to contradict.
And I struggle with that. Not so much negative self-talk, but just overdose of humility, which I've always been a humble person. And one of my favorite sayings is act like you've been there before. And I'm not much for bragging and stuff, but it's hard because you'll teeter and you tip over to that other side of, I can't do this. I'm just this guy. I can't
Sure.
do this.
Right. The last thing when Joe, when we decided to have him come into the business, I mean, it was like, I know your story, what your dad did at the store and how you started. I started at similar, I got fired after the first day of washing cars, but that's a whole nother podcast.
I would have
story.
been fired many, many times if my father didn't work there. That's not even
Yeah.
a question. I did
So-
get fired a few times from sales, though. We'll talk about that if you
Yeah,
want.
we
It's funny.
can. But he started at the bottom. It was like, there ain't going to be no breaks here, dude. So,
Right.
And there were a lot of times, I think, where, and you've expressed it, like, I don't want to do this.
Yeah,
This is not my life's work. And
I
this
say
is-
that every day when I wake up.
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah, right.
And
I think
when I
we-
come out of that gray area.
yeah, well, yeah, and that's kind of my point because I think that the difference between high achiever, top performers, and average, best of the worst, or below is just there's at some point whatever it is, and he's had a lot of motivating factors. A wife and kids will do that to you for sure, but several years ago it just clicked, right, Ernie?
Yeah.
It was like. Because, I mean, he's behind your back. There's been conversations like, "Geez, this kid is like totally different, man.
Well-
and has had the opportunity to take us to a place where it allows me to do other things. It's just,
Yes.
between the two of them, of course, because Ernie's been with me since day one. It completely changed our company.
There was a
completely.
There's a commitment on.
Right. Well,
Right.
And somebody posted an article a while back. I'm going to butcher it a little bit, but the gist of the article was the saying, "Do something that you love, and you'll never work another day in your life." Is total bullshit. It's total bullshit. You have to find things within whatever career path you go down to excite yourself, to challenge yourself, and to continue moving forward. Like you said, we don't all get to play center field for the Cleveland Indians. We don't all get to be rock stars. I mean, that's bullshit. That's the 0.5% of the world. So you find something within that job that you love, that you're passionate about, and you use that to motivate yourself, and you keep moving forward and keep chasing 7 years down the road.
So let me mess a little bit with what you said, right? Because I firmly believe that anybody can do anything that they want to do, okay? Within some type of a scope. Okay, so I'm going to use one of Gary Vee's lines. It's like, I'm not going to be LeBron tomorrow. I'm not going to wake up and suddenly I'm friggin' 7'1", or 6'7", or some type of thing. That's not going to happen. Okay, but if I wanted to be involved in professional basketball one way or another, I could probably do it. I could find a way to do it. It'd probably take me 7 years, but I could probably do it. The real question where all of that breaks down is that people don't want to do what it takes to do what they want to do. So that's where
that's true.
That's where a lot of that stuff comes into play. Like if I wanted to become a doctor today, right? If I said, okay, I'm going to become a doctor, I could do that.
Possible.
I'd have to give up my business, give up all my clients. I would not have time to come and do this. That's for fucking sure, right?
Lose your family.
Be broke for a while.
I would be broke for a while, right? But then in somewhere between 8 to 10 years, I would have a degree, and I could put MD at the bottom at the end of my name.
Yeah, I understand that.
I could do it, but do I want to do what I have to do to, to go through that?
Right.
The problem is that a lot of people are not talking, about becoming a doctor at 49.
Yeah.
Okay. A lot of people are just all the way at the point of becoming a successful automobile salesperson at 23.
Right. And our frontal lobes aren't even developed till we're 25. It's like, so we're all, walking around like chimps anyway until we're 25 years old, basically.
Well, you're fucking brain dead
Well,
until
and
you're
that's
25 or so.
And that's why I say
reality.
The college model in the current setup in the country is a joke. It's a joke. Even the people that have help going into college or have good advisors or good parents or whatever it may be, to just automatically at that age choose what you're going to do for the rest of your life is hilarious.
It's ridiculous.
And then spend thousands and thousands of dollars.
Does that mean I can stop putting money in the 529 for the girls?
I don't know. We talked about this the other day, where you already have big plans for my middle child to take over the company someday, and I'm like, to hell with that. I give, but
I guess my question,
based on
where does the vision come from?
So based on Charlotte, what did she say yesterday about singing about?
She was trashing some. There's a young. Teen pop star on Nickelodeon.
This is his middle daughter.
Okay.
And she said something along the lines of, I'm going to be way better than JoJo. She sucks, or she's not that good, so I'm going to blow her away and be a pop star, Mom.
I'm going to be louder and better.
Yeah, louder. I'll be louder and better than she is. It's like,
Okay.
Yep.
all righty.
Have at it,
If
man.
that's what you want.
I
love that.
Well, the thing with her taking over the company, I don't want to limit my kids at all. So I want them to,
whatever.
and not that this is limited or anything, but I don't want them to be molded into anything. It's
Correct.
like, you do whatever the hell you want to do.
Exactly
You
right.
just go do it.
That's how you ended up. Well, that's how we ended up together.
Right.
It was like, whatever you want to sell mortgages, fine, have at it.
Well, and it was funny because it was tough in the beginning because I don't come from the auto industry. So when you go in, you know how it is. And even just as in a vendor industry, it's shock. And I'm like, these guys are assholes. I don't want to talk to these guys.
Right.
These
they
guys are
speak a
dicks.
different language.
They're assholes.
They're all assholes.
Right. So I remember about 6 months in, you guys were doing Tony Robbins, and you all went. And you're like, we gotta send Joe. We gotta send Joe.
Right.
And Glenn, our other partner at the time, said, you can't send Joe. We'll never see him again. He'll leave the state. He'll go do something. You'll never hear from him. He'll never be a part of AutoMax ever again.
That's true. That could have happened.
I know. Now I want to go. Now I'm pissed.
Yeah. Well, there's. Have you ever seen Robbins?
I've never seen him live. No.
Oh, dude, it's a trip.
I've never seen him live. Just watch the Netflix documentary.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
You'll get probably 25% out of it.
Yeah, maybe 25%. It's interesting because guys like us, quote air quotes, at some point it could happen an hour in, it could happen 6 hours in, but he's the greatest salesman I've ever been around, and the whole model is a one gigantic sale, huge sale.
For sure, yeah.
And it's so well done. It's a work of art.
Yeah.
And the way
Well,
he puts it together.
it's orchestrated, and he's had plenty of time to work on
Every
it.
word,
Yeah.
every second. It's lockstep. It's amazing.
What were you going to say? You had something.
Yeah,
to say
I'm
you were
sorry,
talking.
Ernie.
The vision, like where does it come from for
Oh, that's a great question. That's awesome.
for anybody to begin? Like
Yeah,
you're
how
talking about, does everyone have to be broken down? Down to the last dollar. No, have less. I mean, you know what I mean? Because it seems to be a common thread. Anthony yesterday, Alagona, Troy even.
Story.
So, but what if you're not there, but you're still trying to improve? Like, how does a young person, per se, you're talking college age or whatever,
Right.
how do they figure it out?
I do believe you do have to have a certain amount of adversity in your life. You have to.
You have to.
I believe you have to. Yeah. And
I would
whether
agree.
that adversity be that you're sleeping on your daughter's couch, or whether that adversity be you're recovering from a drug addiction or whatever, it could also be just the mental. Right. It could be the mental thing of, oh my God, if I don't do something with my life,
Right.
I'm going to be a
Right. Yeah,
Whatever.
I'm living a life without joy. Could be an obstacle that you have to overcome
Absolutely.
as an example. Or
Absolutely.
What, I mean, there's a
Now-
million.
Now,
where you wanna
there's
take
one
it.
big problem with that. And the problem is that most people don't get to that point in their life until you're so far down the road of life that it becomes extremely difficult to change course, because course has been dictated to you, or you've just fallen into things over life. And now as you fall in, these other pieces fall in around you, and then
Yeah.
you're kind of like stuck
Trapped.
by them. And you wake up and you're 42 and you're like, holy shit. Like, that's where midlife crisis really comes from.
Yes.
Right.
It's the natural reset in your brain, but it's so difficult because you can't just pack up your tent and go move and
man.
beat up some lions along the way, and then you're suddenly hang out with this tribe now. Like that's
Right.
not the way that
Right.
it works.
And I think that's
in
part
today's
of the
society.
part of the problem for a lot of people. It's not so much that they don't do something that they love for a career. It's that they don't know what they love.
Right.
People have a hard time finding what the hell they want to do.
Yeah.
And it's hard. It's
It
a
is
struggle.
hard.
And I think you almost do, how many times have you seen a kid in their early 20s screwing something up, just fucking something up terribly, and then you think back to yourself, it's like, God, I wish I could go back and just smack myself. But you know that 20-year-old's not going to listen to a single word you have
No,
to say.
that's why
it doesn't
exactly
matter what you
right.
say. You could have pictures, you could have a video, it could be documented how bad you screwed up your life. They're doing the exact same thing, and they have to fuck up their life too.
They have to fuck up their life
to get to a point. And I talked about it on the show with Troy. I'm 38 years old. I can count 5 different phases of my life in 3 different resets where I had to totally reinvent myself. And they were small. I mean, it's not, homeless like Anthony was, or going down to zero, whatever it may be. But there's certain things that happen in your life, and to you, it's your whole world, and your whole world collapses,
Sure.
and you have to start over. And it's the only way you learn or get stronger.
And like you said, when you're in your 20s, right, you think you know everything, and everybody else is fucking stupid,
Yeah.
and everybody else is a loser. And just
Right.
because you screwed up your life doesn't mean I'm going to screw up mine.
Right,
and all
that's a
the-
big one.
And those things just come out. That's why where do you get it from? Sometimes you got to just let that person go. You got to just let them go, let them find their own way.
Yeah.
But like I do things like this because I wish that back in certain times in my life, I had more direction.
Yeah.
Or I wish I had more,
Right.
I wish I had more help, or I wish
Someone
I had more
giving that
examples.
to you.
Someone giving it to me, and someone
Yeah.
like kind of laying it out
Right.
in a much better way, because
Right.
you can read like let's go back a little bit, like all of the books that I read back in the early to mid 90s to try to get myself going,
Right. Yeah.
So like,
Can relate.
Swim with the Sharks.
Right.
I
Right.
read that book.
Yeah. Awesome book.
That is really
Right.
good book.
Think and Grow Rich.
Think and Grow Rich. Unleash the Power Within.
Right. How to influence what was
Friends
it?
and
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Awaken the Giant Within, right?
Right,
All
right.
these books, these books are all great, but
They are.
there's a problem with them all. There's no fucking plan.
Yeah.
Right.
You get to the
Sounds
end of the
good.
book, there's no plan. You're all pumped up, and you got all this stuff that you want to do. Like, I'm going to go fucking roll the world, and blah, 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 blah. And you wake up, and you get back on the back of the garbage truck
Right.
the
It's
next
the
morning.
last page in the book.
Right.
Where's the
How-to.
how-to manual?
And that's
why-
and that's the problem. I have never seen it laid out
Right.
in a certain in a long-term type of format,
Right.
to where you have you know what your end goal is going to be.
Right.
I want to be the number one Mr. Softy truck,
Right.
Andy
enterprise,
Williams.
enterprise guy,
Right.
You know what I mean?
Sounds like a book's on the horizon there to me, right?
It could be.
Yeah.
I can't, I can't
Andy.
suddenly become this, but when I buy one fucking truck
Right,
in
right.
one season,
Right.
it's not going to happen. I need the time,
Yeah.
And you're correct. There is a progression.
Right. And so in our industry right now, I mean, it's overwhelming. The majority of our applicants, and we're getting, I don't know what, 300,000, 400,000 applicants or whatever they are.
No, it's a lot.
I mean, it's mid 60% or higher, air quote, millennials.
Yeah.
So we're dealing with 18 to 30-ish
Yeah.
year
Around
olds,
there.
right? And it's like they're lost, don't know how to get, because what are they going to get at the store? God bless you managers out there, man. It's like, hey, let me sidebar that for a minute. You know what? We as an industry, definitely as vendors, in my opinion, we pick on managers like way too much.
You pick on managers way too much. They're people. They're just people.
Yeah,
That's
man.
it.
And as if I'm a salesperson or whatever department I work in, it's like, okay, he's a moron. He doesn't know what he's doing. He's not that sharp. The only reason he's got that, he's dating the dealer's daughter. He's sold more cars than anybody. On it, all the excuses and lay all that crap on the manager. Meanwhile, the manager's got 20 of you. Right,
Yeah.
3
He's
of which are
responsible
complete
for.
morons, right? That shouldn't be there. 3 that are top performers that he or she should be helping the most get ignored because, well, they're doing their 20 a month. I'm not even going to mess with them. So we got that middle group, and it's hard. It's like, how do we get through to this? Because what we would all agree, and those of you that are watching, listening, what Frank's saying is zero-brainer stuff. Yes or no?
Yeah.
Right? So how do we get people to really carry through? Where do we take that message? Do we take it to the dealer? Do we take it to the to executive management, middle management, or do we take it to the source of the? Do we take it to the 24-year-old kid?
All of the above.
Yeah.
You have to take it to everybody because
Right.
it's everybody's. Look, there's 2 different responsibilities that are going on at any given time. Let's just use the dealership as an example. Okay, there's 2 given responsibilities that are going on at any given time. There's the one responsibility to the business,
Right.
Okay, and then there's the other responsibility that each person has to themselves.
Right. Okay.
No matter what, because
Right.
more than likely that person is not going to work at that dealership their entire life.
Correct.
And more than likely that person is not going to own that dealership where they have the biggest stake in the game.
Correct.
But we all have the biggest stake in the game in ourselves.
Right. Okay.
So no matter what it is, we all have a responsibility, right?
Right.
To progress. And we all have a responsibility to succeed. We all have a responsibility, number one, to ourselves.
Right.
Okay?
Okay.
To progress into the best version of ourselves as we can possibly be, or become a crackhead and laying in a sewer somewhere.
Right.
Like-
We've been talking for whatever reason the last several shows about personal responsibility.
Very much
Yes, absolutely.
We really
it's
have.
It's not just the dealer's responsibility. The thing is, it's not just the manager's responsibility.
Right.
The thing is, we're all human, and it's very, very easy for all of us in talking points and in headlines to be able to blame somebody else.
Yes.
And the more smaller
Victim
you make
mentality.
the more smaller you make the group of people that you blame, the easier it is to do because the less you're going to get called out on the blame.
Yes.
I'm doing it to somebody.
That's it.
So it's very easy to say dealers are stupid and this
Right.
and that, right?
Right.
It's very easy to do that. There's only 16,000 of them.
Right.
Okay. It's very easy to say managers are fucking lazy
Right.
and they don't take care of their salespeople and they don't train and they don't this and that. There's probably only I'm guessing 130,000 of them.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
But you don't have to pick on the salesperson because society does that.
Yeah.
Right? Name one instance in popular culture in the last 50 years where a car salesperson has been put in a positive light.
Yeah.
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 Doesn't exist.
Right.
It doesn't exist. So society already puts the salesperson down to where when every single person who's on a automobile dealership sales floor right now who's watching or listening to this on a rebroadcast, there has been a time in every single one of those people's lives, everyone, where somebody has looked at them and said, "Oh, you're selling cars?"
Sure.
Or they themselves have said it to themselves.
Or they wake up and look at themselves in the morning, right, and want to throw up in the sink because they're because they're going to put on the polo shirt and go sell Toyotas. Okay, and that's not because there's anything wrong with selling cars. That's not in no way, shape, or form. It's because of what society has built. It's what the image is of it.
Right.
Yeah.
It's what the
enough
image is
people
of
call
it.
you a dirtbag long enough.
You're going to eventually think that you're a dirtbag. You have to have an extreme amount of mental toughness to do that.
Yeah.
So it's everybody's responsibility, and that's why the message has to be, that's why the message has to be spread out, and it has to be told to everybody, really to everyone. That's why, like, all the time, and I use the same line over and over again, but I firmly believe it. Whenever I speak at an automotive conference, right, I congratulate everybody that's there. Actually, whenever I speak anywhere, I do it. I congratulate everybody that's there because of the fact that they got their ass out of the bed and got themselves to that event. The knowledge and the partnerships that they may create, the connections that they may make, those things stay with them forever. No matter where they go to work, they still heard me, or they still heard you, or they still heard Lisa, or they still heard somebody speak at an event, and they got that information in. Nobody can take that away from them. It's not like when they leave and go to from Rip 'em Off Motors over to Friendly Motors, that all of a sudden everything's gone and they're brainwashed like Men in Black, where they put the thing in their face and boom, they don't know anything. It's with them forever. That's why the responsibility goes down on each and every one of us, the salespeople, the managers, the dealer, everybody who comes in as a vendor, the consultants, the trainers, more than anybody. I'm sorry, guys, but if you have influence or you have attention of people, you have got to 100%. You must instill good personal behavior traits into those people. As much as you possibly can, because you have their attention, and you have their connection. Teaching them the puppy dog clothes is only going to go so fucking far. Yeah, that's it.
Word tracks are great, but be a nice person.
Yeah, but learn how to be a nice person. Learn how to have empathy for customers. Learn how to have empathy for yourself.
Right.
Well, let me throw a wrench in all this, because I want to go back to millennials for a second and talk about kind of what the problem is, because I think I'm in a weird area where it's an Xennial. I am not a millennial, because technically I fall into whatever Wikipedia decided was millennials, or what the official time frame is. But they baffle me, and I cannot understand the psychology of it. But the psychology of it is, I do know what the psychology of it is. When you talk about never being satisfied and setting goals and chasing, it's just all the things that are, like breathing for us. This, like you said, this isn't reinventing the wheel. This is common sense. Why aren't people doing this? They have very, very different motivators than we do. And it's hard for us to grasp it. It's hard for managers to grasp it. It's hard for GMs to grasp it, where their 7-year goal probably isn't make 6 figures. It probably isn't become a sales manager. And frankly, I don't know what the hell it is. I'm going to be honest with you. It's somewhere along the lines of the 7-year goal might be travel more.
Have 3 jobs, see which one I like best.
Expand, create an app, start a business or something like that. But I guess what I'm saying is, I think part of the problem is finding what motivates them and using that
down the road. Well, that's important. I would agree with that, because if you can find out that what's been we all refer to as a person's why, right? What is your real why? Then they can use, in this particular case, the car business as a way to finance their why, perhaps. Yeah. But the key is finding out what that 7-year plan is, I guess.
Absolutely.
And at 22, I don't know. I mean,
you don't know. That's the thing. At 22,
I wanted to date his mom because she was hot. And it was like,
and it worked.
So,
but that's my thing. I think it has a lot to do with the fact that there's so much attention on millennials, okay? And having 2 of them myself as children, it's very, I can look at it from a parental standpoint, and I can also look at it from a professional standpoint, right? I have a lot of different views on this angle, and I keep coming back to the exact same thing, okay? Is that when I was in my early 20s, I didn't know what the fuck I was doing either. I had no clue, right? I talked to my father about guys when he was in his 20s, right? There
Same
were a bunch
thing.
of bums too. There were a bunch
Right.
of guys hanging around.
I was
and
a
doing-
hippie.
Yeah, and
Right.
doing. You were a hippie and a
Right.
pothead, probably, right?
Right.
But you see my
I
point.
see where you're going here.
Yeah.
Nothing's
Just-
changed at all.
Nothing
Yeah,
is.
nothing
They're
has
just,
changed.
it's just a larger number of people and they have more attention.
And
Right,
there's
they're
more-
louder. That's right. They have a platform.
They have a platform.
Right.
They have a
Called
platform
Twitter
because
or
They have
whatever.
one of these
Well,
things.
see, Yeah,
man.
and this
And
stuff,
that-
this stuff didn't exist when we were kids.
Right.
This shit didn't
Can
exist.
you imagine?
If
Or
you
they
had a
seem
Your
like
ass would
there's
be in
more.
jail, dude.
yeah, if you
It
had
is
a,
more. They're a large. It is a larger. They're a huge
Larger
group.
than the baby boomer.
I believe so.
What,
Yeah.
Number wise?
Yeah, number
Yeah.
wise,
Yes.
I believe it's much.
I think
larger.
so. I think that's
believe
why
it's much
and they're getting a
larger.
little
Yeah.
attitude about it. That's become the problem. But
Yeah.
I what you're saying is absolutely true because my beef always is I'll come across one or talk to one and they have these plans and I want to travel. It's like, yeah, well, I want to fucking travel too.
Right.
I said,
Pay your bills.
it's like the line. Everyone has a plan until they get punched in the face.
Yes.
It's like, okay, how's your $40,000 a year going to support a family? It's like, I hope you're not planning on getting married or ever having kids because that shit's going out the window. But
Right.
then
That was-
you got bills to pay.
But that was
Right.
the same thing like when I was in my 20s and I made 30
Same-
grand.
right.
There's really no
Yeah.
different.
I
There's
think
really
you're-
no
you're
different.
absolutely
The
right.
only thing
There
that's
isn't.
different is that this thing exists.
Yep.
That's for you.
Social media. Yep. You're right.
This thing exists, and there's more of a. Everybody has much more of a voice.
Yeah.
I guess.
That's what I was going to
You're
say.
right.
Good afternoon, Nick.
Yeah, top of the morning to you.
So,
Who's this?
how are you? It's this is Nick, the car guy. Do you have you been watching the show? What do you think of our guest, Frank Lopes? You know Frank?
Can I start by saying I thought that you and I had a mutual respect and that you would be honest and forthright with me.
Right, and I've not been how.
But yesterday you told me, hey, we're not going back on the air for another 10 days.
No, well, after today.
Oh, you forgot that part.
Yeah.
But that's okay. You're a car guy, so that's okay. You can let that slide, right?
Right.
Yeah. Well, so anyway, Frank, good guy. All that's the seven stuff. Whatever. I feel like I've been listening to you guys for 7 years today. But I mean, the one thing about the sevens I like is that's accurate is I've been selling 7 cars a month for like the last 21 years.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
and 21 is divisible by 7.
It is.
So it all falls together,
Right.
you know.
That 7 cars a month thing, that's been working out good for you, right?
Yeah. And the good thing, the nice thing about your podcast is you got a bunch of people distracted, and now they're all focusing on working harder, and I'm working smarter. And the secret of my success has always been hello TOs.
That's right. Hello, T.O.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll bet. Yeah. Being your manager would be an interesting position, I think. Taking a TO on from a deal that you're involved in, that would be an interesting thing.
Yeah. My managers like me. I mean, I greet a customer
Right.
real quick.
Right.
Welcome. Hello, welcome. Yeah. My name is Nick. And then they tell me what they're looking for, and I say, you know what? I got the perfect guy for you. He knows those really good. And I take him, and I flip the customer.
Right.
And by the end of the day, Craig, my name's on the board 4 or 5 times.
Right. Nothing wrong with a split, right, dude? You get in somebody's pocket for half a deal.
Half of something beats all of nothing, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. And so, I mean, that's called working smarter, not harder. But yeah, Frankie, keep pushing that work harder because all the other guys are working harder for me. So
I'm glad that works out for
with
you.
that.
Yeah, I'll pass that along. We got the phone situation in here. I'm trying to get you patched through the system here, and I'm having some challenges of that. So I got to do it this way, so only I can basically hear you. But I'll transfer any information that you have to our guests or to Ernie and Joe. So yeah, we're going to we're going to Las Vegas this weekend. Frank's going to be there, and Joe or Ernie's going to stay back and man the ship. But we're going to Las Vegas. Have you ever been to Las Vegas, Nick? That seems like that could be a potential train wreck. You in Las Vegas? That ever happen?
Yeah. I'm not necessarily allowed back. I usually go now to the the poor man's Vegas, Reno.
Reno.
Yeah. I spend time there.
Yeah.
And hey, with your rule of sevens, keep this in mind, fella. 7 shots of tequila is that'll take care of business for you.
Yeah. Really.
Yeah.
That would allow you to.
All in Vegas.
That would allow you to skip some steps, I would think, if you had 7 shots of tequila.
Yeah. You guys. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, you guys in Vegas is a wasted opportunity. But,
How so?
yeah.
Huh? What do you mean?
You're all just gonna sit around and stroke each other's egos and oh no, you're the best. No, you're the best.
Right.
Oh yeah, and you're blowing sunshine up Grant Cardone's butt on this show and all these other guys. Grant Cardone ain't even his real last name. You know that, right?
No, what's his real last name? I wasn't aware of this.
You got to be kidding me. Yeah.
No.
Think about it, right? The car trainer whose last name is Car Dunn. Are you kidding me? You never made that connection?
I gotta admit, I didn't. I never have. I heard it here first. I'm sorry. Yeah, I don't pay attention.
Yeah, come on. No.
Car done. Yeah, I like that.
His real name is Earl Weavertucken. And for real.
I don't doubt you. I don't doubt you at
His real
all.
name is Earl Weavertucken, and he was like a door-to-door meat salesman.
Right.
And all of a sudden, he got this epiphany. Now everybody listens to him, and they try using all of his Jedi mind trick closes and ninja closes, and it's like, wow, I wonder why these don't work for me.
Yeah.
Well, they didn't work for him either. I mean, he just made this stuff up. So
Right, and he had to change his name to Cardone. So yeah, it's
Grant
interesting.
Cardone.
I'll mention that to Grant next time I see him.
Yeah.
All right, hey, listen, pal. I appreciate you stopping in. Are we going to be expecting to see any more videos of you trying to get the show canceled?
Well, I don't know if I'll have to or not, man. I mean, you guys are doing a good enough job running the show into the town.
There you go.
I mean, and Joe's over there, and God loves, Joe Lockard. He's doing his best. He's trying to be, Joe Rogan.
Right.
And he's trying hard, and I appreciate that about him. But, I mean, he even looks a little like Joe Rogan.
A little bit. A little better looking, but yeah.
Well, but obviously Joe Rogan has been to the gym more recently.
I see.
But aside from
That's
that,
true.
anyway, let me go back. I can't believe you.
Yeah.
I'm on this call with your just delightful podcast, and I missed it on. All right, I gotta go. I gotta go see how I can get on half this deal.
All right. Later, dude. Bye, Nick.
Always a treat.
Nick, the car guy.
You have Nick calling into every show?
He calls in every show.
Yeah?
Yeah. The first one was
I
kind
guess
of a
people gotta
mistake
go to
into
the-
that. What the heck?
I guess people got to go to the bathroom at some time. They're so fucking long.
Actually, I do have to pee.
That was pretty good.
I can't believe you're still milking that. You're still milking the cheesesteak over there.
That's
You know,
That's what's so impressive about
But
what you did there. It's really crazy.
I think his method was the best. I never thought of it that way. You get it out of the way, knock it out, focus on the next thing. And,
That's it.
Yeah. And
Well, am I
instead
gonna-
of sitting here taking bites, coming back, taking a bite, coming
Yeah,
back.
you do that, and it gets cold in the meantime, and you know what I mean. There's so many negatives to that. Just
I'm with
put
you.
it down, and that's it. Man.
I'm with you.
so when you're at a store, are you?
Anybody need anything?
Is this what you're talking about? That this is what you impart the theory 7. Is that just an aspect of what you're doing with stores?
To be honest, I have not employed the theory of the rule of 7 in any stores whatsoever. I've only it's infant. It's still extremely infant. So I only spoke about it at one conference.
Oh, okay.
I spoke about it at Jim Ziegler's Internet Battle Plan. And I decided to speak about it maybe about a week before the event.
Wow.
Which was going to be another thing I was going to ask you. You're doing that keynote speech.
Yes.
That's for what, like an hour?
That's 90. Yeah, I think it's like 50 minutes.
Where in the world are you coming up with the information that you're going to share? Your lifetime experiences?
That's exactly what I'm going to do at Rockstar. Is I'm going to be doing a similar, more evolved version of the Rule of Seven there, and explaining to people how I used it in my life, giving them examples of hardships I went through, so that they understand that any position that they're in, like as hard as it is for anybody right now with what they're going through, they can overcome it. It's not a question. There's only one thing that can happen to you that you cannot overcome. That's it.
Yeah.
There's only the one thing. Besides that, you can overcome anything. It doesn't matter what it is. It may not come out to be exactly the way it was before. You may not be able to reinvent yourself exactly as you were, or into a whole different. There's going to be limitations, because everything in the world is evolving. Where you were years ago is not going to be the same place as you were as you go back to 20 years.
Right.
From now. You know what I mean?
Right.
Everything's going to change. You're going to change. The surroundings are going to change. The other people that are going to change. So it's never a fact of putting everything back the way it was after you lose everything. It's not going to be the fact of like after an accident or after the loss of a loved one. Like, you can't replace the loved one. If they're gone, they're gone. That's the end of the story. You have to evolve into whatever the next best part of you is. Look at Tiger Woods. Tiger Woods is a perfect example of that, right? There is a Tiger Woods that was extremely successful and won, what is it? He's up to like 89, right? Tournaments that he's won, 15 majors now. If you go back when his father was alive, that was the biggest run that he went through. And a lot of the hardships that came in his life came immediately after his father died. Obviously, that was a huge traumatic event, because his father was such a was such a part of his foundation, was a part of him. So he had to reinvent himself, right? And he had to reinvent himself and find himself again. And then he had to overcome 4 surgeries. He had to overcome his public humiliation and his public mistakes and everything,
Right.
and everything like that. But when he got back onto the course, when he won the Masters a few weeks ago, he didn't win against Greg Norman and Ernie Els, right? And Fred Couples. He didn't win against the guys that he was playing against before. He was winning against
New guys.
all new guys, because everything else has evolved.
Right.
He was also 20 years older than he was, when he won his first one, 20 some odd years older. So he had to evolve from that.
Right.
His body was different. He had to play a different game. But that doesn't mean that he couldn't win the Masters again. It means he had to win it a different way.
And you know what the ultimate commentary on human nature, and goes back to what you were talking about, of do you have to fail to succeed, is everyone was cheering for him. I thought it was one of the most miraculous. I don't think that what happened there could be understated or applied to just the sports. I'm sitting there watching with my wife, and I'm trying to get her and my kids to grasp what's going on here. And it's hard if you don't follow sports, because you don't know the whole story. And it's like, okay, it's just an old guy winning a tournament. But how often does our country or the world or anybody, for sports or anything, all get together and get behind something? And
it's very rare.
Everybody was excited and happy for him. Everybody. Everybody I talked to or saw thought it was the coolest thing that they'd ever seen.
No, there was plenty of people that still don't like the situation with his wife and how that went down, all that, and they don't necessarily just let that go.
Well, there's one at every party. Yeah. My point was, everybody, I felt like it was relatable to everybody.
Yes.
I thought everybody's walking it, and I think kind of what your point is, I think a lot of people just don't talk about their failures, or ashamed to talk about their failures, but I think everyone's had them, and I think that was kind of, you saw it. Everybody's like, shit, it's me.
Yeah.
On a super small, shitty scale, but it's me.
There are countless amount of people that watched that tournament, okay, that watched a lion's share of the tournament. Number one, the amount of time spent watching the Masters was amazingly high. Number one. Number two, there's very, very few people who did not watch the last 2 holes with their eyes dry.
Yeah. I was
bawling.
got chills talking about it.
I was bawling like a baby.
It was
seriously.
I'll remember that. I'll definitely remember that.
I'll remember it forever. And the people that will immediately go and want to go back to 2009 to what happened to Tiger and to what Tiger did to himself, okay, which he will admit he did to himself, his mistakes. Somebody who wants to bring that up at that time, man, you're talking about that person's got
Bottom
bigger
of the barrel.
Bottom of the barrel.
Right.
That person's more than likely got bigger problems than what Tiger had at that time. But of course, jealousy, once again, one of those intrinsic type of character traits that we all have, the jealousy and the envy and all that kind of stuff. A lot of times it's going to pop out right when you see somebody else do something or achieve something at a level that in your mind, your insecurity says, oh, I'm never going to do that. Oh, well, fuck him then.
Well, and I think you could take it farther than that. It was probably people that, again, it was jealousy, but maybe they fell into a pit and they never got out of it. And they saw him getting out of it. And like you said, they're jealous. It's like,
Sure.
well, I'm never going to get my shit together. I went through something shitty like that. And nobody's celebrating me. It's like, yeah, well, you're probably still sitting on your couch drinking a beer. I mean, you never came out of it. And what won me over about Tiger is the way he handled all this stuff. And that's what I like about the story. He was a piece of shit. He was a shitty guy at some point, and he might still be. I don't know him personally. But, you know, you get little snippets of celebrities. So I saw him walking off the green at a tournament probably a month or two before that, and somebody made a blow-up picture
Of his
mugshot.
Yeah.
And he walks by, and it took everything he had to not bust up laughing. That's a cool person. That's somebody who can look at themselves in the past, realize
Sure.
they fucked up, and be like, that's pretty funny.
He has reinvented himself.
Seems
in that
like
regard.
it.
Sure.
You would almost have to. I mean, like I said, I don't know him as a person, but there's no way he's winning a tournament if he doesn't have his head at least somewhat screwed back on.
And he has to play his own game because he can't play the game of a 20-some-odd-year-old Tiger Woods.
Right.
And he also can't play the game of somebody who's 20-some-odd years old competing against him.
Right.
That's why he's like you'll see in interviews, he's always saying, especially in the last, like since he's come back from the 4th surgery, he's not playing against anyone. He's not. He's playing against himself.
Right.
That's it. And you see that's exactly what he did. And that's really something that everyone who's watching, that's really something that they should focus on. You know,
Competing against yourself.
just compete against yourself. The hell with everybody else. What everybody else is doing does not matter.
Right.
It doesn't, because if they're making more money than you, guess what? They're not going to give you some of their money, okay, for you to pay your mortgage.
Right.
And then when you make more money, you're sure as hell aren't going to give somebody else some of your money to pay their mortgage. So stop looking at everybody else, you know, and just look at yourself. Look at where you were, figure out where you want to be, and then figure out what you have to do to get there. That's really the bottom line of the whole rule of 7.
Yep.
That's
And
really what it comes
and I
down to
think
is
that-
just have reality of where you are today.
Right.
You know, think about where it is that you really want to be. Like sit down and like close your eyes and really think to yourself, you know, like, okay, 7 years from now, where do I want to be? What do I want it to look like? What do I want it to smell like? You know, what do I want it to sound like? What do I want to feel on my skin? Do I want to feel like a warm ocean breeze on my skin because I'm sitting at my beautiful beach house and it's in New Jersey and I don't give a fuck how much the property taxes are, right?
That's where I'm at. That's one of ours. The thing I miss the most about New Jersey is Ocean City. It just is, and it's because the kids love it so much and whatever
Right.
reason.
Ocean
but-
City's awesome.
So that's definitely a goal for us is vacation home in Ocean City.
So you think about that. Okay, so I want to have a vacation home in Ocean City. Yes, that is a materialistic item. Okay, but that materialistic item is also going to come along with a certain lifestyle.
Right.
Okay, and you're sitting. Okay, so we'll use you. So I'm going to guinea pig you, Nudge. Okay. So,
Eerily, by the way, 7 years sounds about right. But go
okay,
ahead.
so 7 years from now, you want to have your big, beautiful. You know, you want to have your beautiful. I said big, and I already led you down the wrong road. You want to
Yeah,
have
big's not right anyway. Go ahead.
you want to have your beautiful home on the beach in Ocean City. Okay. Now, you know what that smells like. You can smell the ocean air because it's a completely distinguishable type of odor, right? Type of smell, type of aroma.
Mm-hmm.
So you know that you need to be waterfront. You know that you want to feel the sun on your face. You want your skin to feel warm, right? Which means that you ain't renting it. That means that you're going to own it, so that you can go there anytime during the summer, during the warm weather, and enjoy it. Okay. What do you hear when you're there?
Waves.
The waves.
Rides.
You need to be oceanfront. Rides. You need to be close to the boardwalk now.
Right.
See what's going on here? What else do you hear?
Kids.
Kids. Okay.
So I have to do it in the next 7 years, or,
Okay.
or they'll be gone.
So your kids, so you have to do it in the next 7 years. Now, if you're talking about in the
No,
next
they're
7
not
years,
going to talk to you in 7 years from now. Madeline's not going to have
Well,
conversations.
I'll still
with
have
you.
the baby. She'll be
Right.
Nora will be
So
7.
if you're talking about this 7 years from now, when you want your kids there, right? That house has to be a certain size to be able to hold everybody.
Sure.
Okay, so now you see how your lifestyle is starting to build into what this is. You want to be able to go there as much as you possibly can. So that means that you have to have a certain amount of income and or disposable income to be able to afford everything that you said that you just wanted
Right.
for that 7-year goal.
Right.
Right. So now start to reverse engineer that. You're more than are you going to want to live there year round? Are you going to want to live there you're going to want to just go there whenever you
Right.
go there?
Just go. Just go.
So if it's just go, now you need 2 homes.
Right.
Okay. So now you need to
More
have
income.
a primary residence and you want to have the Ocean City place at the same time.
Right.
That means you need to have a certain amount of income. That certain amount of income is probably going to be for what you just described, probably going to be somewhere in 7 years, probably in the $500,000 to $650,000 range.
At least, yeah.
Okay. So what are you going to have to do now to get yourself to where 7 years from now you have that type of income coming in with that type of disposable income to be able to have that house that your kids can be at will, that you can go at will? You're going to have to step up your game today.
Right.
Which means that you're going to have to make AutoMax like a whole different level of what it is.
Right.
Because of what it is right now, more than likely you're not going to be able to achieve that goal. You're going to have to come short someplace.
Right.
Okay. So in the reverse engineering of what you need AutoMax to be and what you need AutoMax to be able to give you means that you're going to have to give AutoMax certain things. Okay. And you may get to a point where you're like, okay, it just will not produce it. It just won't. Whether it be that there's a huge downturn in the automotive industry and we lose a quarter of our salespeople.
Right.
A quarter less salespeople mean there's less people to train, means there's less blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Now you may have to adjust that 7-year thing.
Okay.
Instead of Ocean City, it may be Little Lake Harbor. Right. It may be.
It won't be Little Lake Harbor. I see what you're saying, though.
But you
Right.
see what I'm saying? That's why the flexibility part in it is so important.
Right.
That's a great point. That's huge. That's
gotta be
huge
able to
right there.
change.
That's one of the keys. I think I love that we're your focus group for this. By the way, you weren't
My
here
guinea
when we were
pigs,
talking
really.
about it. This
No.
is he's never really dove into this before.
I
and
heard
it's-
it on the way out.
Okay.
Our second guest came in, so I got tied up
Okay.
talking to Bill
Okay.
for a minute. So
So I think that's where a lot of people quit. Is they don't know how to pivot. They don't know how to adjust, and they don't know how to adjust expectations and adjust their goals.
right. Well, I failed, so screw it.
And then
Yeah.
the negativity comes in.
You bet.
Then the same part of the brain that says, "Oh, Tiger won the Masters. Oh, he cheated on his wife freaking 10 years ago." Right?
that
That
one.
same part of the brain kicks in
Right.
and says, "Who the fuck are you to think that you're going to
Right.
have a house
Right.
in Ocean Beach by the boardwalk?" What do
Frank,
you
that's
think?
very interesting you say that. When I was small, my mom, when my parents didn't get along and ultimately split up, she used to take me. There's a part of the east side of Cleveland near the farm. It was called Gates Mills. That's where the dirty word Modell lived and all that. And Hunting Valley, one of the richest places in the world, literally. And it was 20 minutes from where I grew up on this farm. My mother used to take me driving up and down those streets, right? And there were these big brick Tudor homes. And back then, I mean, it was like, I'm really old, man. So they were like, how much is that house, Mom? Well, it's probably $75,000. Like $75,000. You know, our house was like $9,000 or
Yes.
whatever. You know, who lives here? Oh, doctors and lawyers, and you know, people that own huge companies. The owner of the Cleveland Browns lives there. And it never, ever, ever. It was like, there's no way that
That's
could
never
ever
gonna
be
be me, right.
There's no way.
Right.
Then when I started selling cars, there was a salesperson there that made, in 1973, made $50,000. And it took me back to those $75,000 homes. And my first year selling cars in 1973, 74, when I met your mom, I made $28,000. When we went and bought a house, it was $26,000.
Yes.
You know, and it's like, you know, I mean, that doesn't happen today. If you make $500,000, you're not buying a $400,000 home. You're buying a $2 million home or
Right.
whatever it is. So I'm working with this guy. I'm 20 feet away from him all the time. And it's like, I can't never make $50,000, man. That's what those doctors and lawyers made when I was a kid. It's like 28's cool, you know. I'm like, we live okay. As Mom and I, we're doing all right. We bought a nice little house and a brick bungalow, literally, you know. And then the next year I made 35, and then I made 50. Actually, when I started selling more cars, it freaked him out. He left. He didn't like the heat.
You spooked him.
Right. In my first year, I made 50. It was like a life-changing moment to me. It was such a goalpost. It was such a marker in my life that, like, oh, I do deserve this, because I really did not think I deserved that. You know, and I think that's prevalent in so many families, so many relationships. You know, I can never be like Frank and Andrea appear to be in a relationship. You know, it's like how in the world does that happen?
It's the
self-talk.
It's the rich dad, poor dad situation.
It's exactly is.
That you're just ingrained from, like,
Right.
you know, the only pure
Right.
years you have in your life are from, like, infancy through
5,
2 or
6.
something.
Yeah.
Even
Oh,
that,
yeah.
even
Yeah,
as
you're
soon as
right.
you can
You
start
start
understanding
develop.
words and comprehending sentences, you're programmed to think a certain way about yourself, about your family, and your
No
lot in
question.
life.
Yeah, because when you were an infant like that, and and you did something, and your mother went, "Stop it!"
Yeah.
You know, you didn't give a shit.
Yep.
Right.
You just did it again. You
Yeah.
tested it again until she, like,
Right.
actually
The ruler comes out.
Yeah, the ruler came out, and she actually put you on your ass. You know.
Yeah.
It's until those types of lessons actually stick in your head, that's where everything starts to go to shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really from that point
It is.
forward, and then there's a whole, then you spend the whole rest of your life trying to right the ship and get yourself into the mode of, like, no, actually, wait a minute, I can do that.
Right.
Like, I can accomplish that. I can go and do that.
Yeah.
You know, I'll give you another example. At NADA this past year, anybody who's in the automotive
That
industry.
was cool stuff that you did every day there too.
Yeah.
By the way,
Thank
that
you.
looked awesome.
Anybody who's not watching, NADA is like the Super Bowl of the automotive industry. So it's the largest conference. It's got to be 15,000 people, 20,000 people.
I would
Yeah,
think.
it's 3 days. I call it Vendorgeddon, right? Because it's like just a sea of vendors everywhere. you
We
know?
stopped going, man.
Right?
Vendorgeddon.
Yeah. So
Like
so
burning money,
it's
yeah.
Vendorgeddon. You know. So I was approached. To do my live Facebook show. From NADA.
Get more Frank.
Right, yeah. So I turned it into Live with Lopes, right?
Right.
So
That's right.
So I'm like, okay, I don't want. The first thing in my mind, I don't really want to do that. Who wants to come and be on my show at NADA?
Yeah,
First thing is
everybody.
the friggin' negative thought, right?
Yeah.
So then it turns. Yeah. So then it
Okay.
turns into, Veronica, right? So then
Right.
it turns into Veronica
She's
Dumford
awesome.
saying, "We'll get, don't worry about it. We'll put like 8 shows together. We'll get this guy, that guy, that guy." And then I'm thinking, wait a minute, maybe this. I have to turn myself around. Maybe this will work, right? Maybe this will work. So I put a post on Facebook saying who's going to be an ADA. I'd like to do this, right?
Right.
And then I can't control the amount of comeback that I get.
Yeah.
So 8 turns into 10, 10 turns into a dozen turns into like 18. And then after I got everybody who said they wanted to be on, it was like 39 people.
Wow.
And I'm like, I can't do 30. There just isn't physically enough time to do 39 people. Like,
Yeah,
it just
I watched a half a dozen. I'm like, whoa, man.
It just
It
doesn't
looked
work.
it looked exhausting as it was.
It was
Yeah.
exhausting. Yeah.
Yeah.
It just doesn't work. But so when all was said and done, I did 27 live shows
Jeez.
that were approximately an hour apiece.
Oh, man.
Did
Wow.
27 live shows over 2.5 days of time.
That's insane.
Okay. And I sat on the plane on the way back the next day, and I said to myself, this was it? I only did 27? Wow, I could have done more. I could have fit somebody in right here. I could have stayed a little bit after. Nobody ever threw me out of the expo hall. Nobody asked me to leave.
Yeah, you didn't have a boss.
Yeah, I didn't have a boss. I didn't have no time frame. I didn't have anything. I
Right.
could have gotten in a little bit earlier
Right.
in the morning. I could have found ways to do more of
That's
that.
a major state change there.
So you could. That's my whole point.
Yeah.
Is that you start off doing something and you hear Adrian's voice and you're in your brain saying you can't win, Rock. You can't win. And where does that come from? Fear. It just comes from fear.
Yeah, it does.
Either it's somebody else's fear or somebody says that, and then your fear will latch onto it, and hold onto it and say, "You see, she's right.
Right.
You see, she's right. What the fuck are you thinking?
Right.
You know?
Right.
The freaking, what do you call it? Clubber Lang's going to kill you. You can't do live shows from NADA.
Clubber really should have kicked Rocky's ass.
Well, thank God.
Everybody should have kicked Rocky's ass. You can't
Yeah,
go
well,
by
the
that.
Russian, what's his name? The Russian guy should have definitely.
Thank God it's a
Everybody
movie.
should have kicked his ass.
But you guys understand my point.
Yeah,
It's
definitely.
turning that self-doubt around.
Right. So what? So the people respond. So we all agree we've got to take personal responsibility to achieve those results, right? To make the effort to receive.
You're
those
only
results.
responsible to yourself at the end of the day. Hey,
Right.
there's a whole nother road to go down, right? You know how people say, I do it for my kids, I do this, I do
Right,
that, right?
right.
Don't do that.
Yeah.
Right.
Don't.
I agree.
You're a fool. You're fucking fooling. You're put another
Mounds
mark.
of pressure.
You're fooling.
Yes.
All you're doing is fooling yourself. That's it. Because one day you're going to realize that your kids don't give a shit.
Yep.
That they don't.
Yeah.
'Cause
You're better off letting them fail a couple times anyway. So.
A, you're better off letting them fail. Number two, no matter what, the moment that you die, it's going to be you, yourself, and that's it.
Yeah,
Right.
man.
That is it. Okay. And if you hit that moment with any type of regret whatsoever, you can't turn back.
Yeah. That's a scary thought.
It's an extremely scary thought.
And it gets
but
weirder as you get a little older.
Yes, as you get older, that thought comes into your mind more and more because you start to realize your mortality and how fragile your life is. And most importantly, you start to realize that every single one of us walks the face of the earth with an expiration date. Okay? But the problem is that the expiration date is friggin' stamped on the inside of our bodies somewhere. And we don't know where it is and we can't see it.
Right.
And you start to realize that time, no matter what, is the most valuable asset that you have. And that gray area that I talk about in the morning, right? You know, that little spot.
Yes.
Some people it's a minute or two. Some people it's seconds. Okay, that goes by. If you've ever suffered from anxiety in your life before, that gray area is the happiest part of your day. Because there's no anxiety at that point because your brain is not tuned into reality yet.
Right.
And then once it does get tuned into reality,
Yeah.
The wave of anxiety that comes over your body is like as if you were laying down on the beach at Ocean City and you kind of sort of fell asleep and the tide got high and all of a sudden a big wave came and just splashed right on top of you and you had no idea that it's coming. That's exactly what that feels like.
Yeah.
That little spot of gray, that's where your truth is.
Yeah.
That's where your truth is. There is nobody there besides you, your conscious self, and your unconscious self at the same time. That gray spot. Everybody who's watching right now was like, holy shit. I didn't realize that was there. I feel really good there. Yeah, then you realize what you have to do for the day. You have to realize that you have to go pick up garbage again. You have to realize that you have to go wash cars again. You realize that you have to go take another up. You realize you have to come do a podcast. You realize that you have to go see your mother in the hospital. You realize that you're going to bury your father that day. You realize whatever it is that you're going to realize on that day, and it hits you. So you have to make sure that as you're make everything that you possibly can do. It ain't about your kids. It ain't about I'm doing it for my kids. Do that shit for you.
Right.
Do that shit for yourself so that even when you're in the gray area and you come out every day, it's easier and easier and easier to come out of the gray. Every single day that goes by. And in some cases, you're doing it, maybe you have a broken relationship with a child, okay? With an adult child. And coming out of the gray area, that's what you think about all the time. That's the only time when you're doing it for your kids. You're really doing it for yourself because you got to mend that relationship to make it right. You got to do your shit for nobody besides yourself. That's it. You are number one at any given time because the gray area, when you hit the end of the road, right? No matter what, it is you and you alone. That's it. When you came in, you had no idea what the fuck was going on. When you're on your way out, you know what's going on.
You're going to kill it, Rockstar. Make sure you go back and listen to this whole thing and
I will, that part.
drag your
what,
notes.
take notes.
Take notes, man.
You know what we forgot to do? It hit me on the way home last night.
I got them.
Oh, the clips?
Yeah, I don't have many.
good.
I got a couple for Frank.
All right.
I wish
tell
I
you
could.
the
I
thing-
can rewind from that
The
one.
thing that you definitely have to do is everybody who, okay, so you remember we talked about talking to the camera before, right?
Yeah.
I don't know what camera's on, but I'm going to pump into this one right now. Everybody who's watching, no matter what, okay, you need to share this broadcast, okay? If you're watching it on Facebook Live, you need to hit that share button. If you're watching it on the replay on Facebook, you need to hit the share button. If you're on YouTube, you need to subscribe first. Don't forget, you need to subscribe, okay? And you need to share this out. Every time anybody who's watching and you see a good piece of content, don't be selfish, okay? Don't just scroll by. Hit that share button. You have no idea if somebody who's a friend of yours on Facebook that you talk to every single day, you have no idea if there's somebody who friended you by fucking accident, okay? Thinking that you were a different Craig Lockhart, right?
Yep.
With a T at the end of the name instead of a D or some
Right.
shit, right?
Right.
You have no idea if that person who's going to scroll through their feed needs to hear something or needs to see what you just saw.
That's interesting.
So not putting it out, not hitting that share button is selfish shit. That's what you're doing.
Yeah.
You're being selfish. You're trying to like hold it to yourself the same way how like in our industry, some people won't go and won't talk about what they do or they won't talk about what like any of their tactics because they want to hide it.
Right.
When in reality, there is no friggin' secret sauce to anything that we're doing.
Right.
Anywhere.
Right.
It's all the same. It's all the same
And
shit.
that's a good point. My wife, she's kind of come around too, so she shared it out yesterday, and her post was, this isn't just automotive stuff. There is phenomenal motivational life lessons on all the casts. And I think it took her a little bit. She's like, what are you guys going to talk about? I'm like, well, we're going to talk about the auto industry because we all work within the auto industry. But every single one of these podcasts has evolved into something way, way bigger than just talking about selling cars.
Which is good.
And a lot of the guys that just talk about selling cars all the time and stuff, no disrespect to anybody, but man, the world is so much bigger. Stop being so selfish. Stop being selfish to where you're talking about the automotive industry because you're hoping that you can sell somebody some whatever it is, the service you provide or whatever fucking widget you got that you invested money in and you got to turn an ROI on it now. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And how about make sure that people stay? Make sure that people stay in the industry. You know, you want to know why Carvana and you want to know why CarMax, why they're kicking our ass.
Yeah. Well.
You want to know why? Because they're not car dealers.
Right.
Right, they're not car guys.
That's right. They're
Right.
not that they're not car guys.
Right.
They're not car dealers. People on the outside look in.
Right.
And they go there because they don't want the car dealership.
Correct.
If you look at all of Carvana's marketing, right? It is all about not being a car dealership. They play into what I said earlier about how you cannot find a person, one instance on the face of the earth in the last 50 years where a car dealer, a car salesman, a car dealership has been put in a positive light in popular culture. You can't find it.
Nope.
So what did those guys do? They just flipped it all the way around and said, you don't like car dealers? Hey, guess what? We're not a car dealer. We're not a car dealer. You're going to come buy a car out of a fucking vending machine that we bought at a friggin' auction someplace next to a car dealer
Right.
and put through the same process.
That's right.
Right? So instead of trying to push everybody who has influence in this industry, instead of just trying to push your agenda to try to line your pockets, guess what? You'll make a lot more money by adding to the industry and doing things like helping keep the turnover rate down under the 76 or whatever stupid number that it is right now. It's disgusting, right?
Horrible.
You know, why is it like that? Let's talk about those types of things. Let's try to get those things corrected. I come from a time in the car business when I was brought up in the mid 80s and stuff, where you had lifers and that on the sales floor. And those guys made a complete career out of selling cars. And they made a lot of money selling cars as well.
No ups, little lag.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
You know, so just being out there, and if you have influence and you're using it just for yourself, I'm going to say it right now, shame on you.
Yeah.
Shame.
Yeah.
You should keep your head down.
Right.
You shouldn't be out there boasting and everything.
Yeah. Well, I don't know what you want to call him. Just, like Benstock. It was a visionary,
Yeah. Look at Brian Benstock. He's not out trying to get people to go to Paragon Honda to buy a fucking Civic.
You'd barely know.
Not at all.
Outside of the car that he drives, you wouldn't even know where he works if it weren't for it being on the Facebook page.
Right. And I was talking to Adam, the producer of the show, and it's like he's in Queens, New York. They sell, I don't know how many cars.
600 some cars a month. Yeah.
They're picking up and delivering every service appointment car. Every one. It's mind-blowing. So you want to compete with Carvana, whatever? Okay, well then
match the
take
service,
one
right?
step.
Match the service.
Yeah,
match the service.
Yeah, or be ahead. So it's pretty interesting. It's nice to be able here to tell the truth and not tell a lot of fibs. And speaking of fibs,
that's set. You're getting good at the setup. So I've been trying to set it up in my head for the past 5 minutes, and I blew it. That was sharp.
Yeah, no problem. So
are you
we're
ready,
about
are
to
you ready,
play
Frank Lopes?
a game called Fabulous Fibs, Fabulous fibs.
You actually have a game now worked
Yeah.
into
Well, of
your
course.
podcast.
It's the world
This
famous.
is very pro. Huh?
Fabulous
Hey, you know.
fibs.
Okay.
So you ready?
You
Yep.
ready?
I'm going to read off 3 statements. You have to tell me which one is true. 2 of them, bold-faced lies.
Yep.
1 of them, the truth.
Okay.
You ready?
Yep.
Okay.
2 fibs and a truth.
The first ever Chevy Camaro was fire engine red. That's statement number 1. Number 2, myself, Joe Lockard, has a double major from the University of Akron in finance and marketing. Number 3, the state with the highest unemployment is Alaska at 6.5%. I'll read them again. First ever Chevy Camaro was fire engine red. I have a double major from University of Akron in finance and marketing. Number 3, Alaska has highest state unemployment at 6.5%.
I say number 3 is the fib. Alaska's unemployment. I gave you credit there. If you didn't put yourself in there, I probably
Well, see, that's why I've been trying to trick it up. So one of the
little
questions every single time will be about us. So we started laying this out, and I'm like, wait a minute. We can't make the truth one the one about us. People will start
Right.
picking up on that, and they'll just
Right.
pick
Right,
that
yeah.
one.
Right.
So I'll go through them. Alaska actually is the state with the highest unemployment right now, at
Isn't that
6.5%.
It doesn't.
It blew my mind, and I have no idea why. I really don't know.
The native Alaskans, I guess.
You think so?
Eskimos, I would assume.
I have no idea. I don't know the culture up there. It's
Wait,
like
I
another
said
country.
that was a fib, right?
Yeah.
Oh, that's actually. I
See,
screwed up
so
the game already.
You screwed it up, but I knew right. You lost right there because that's the true one.
Yeah.
So that was the easy one for me. So anyway, that is the true one. But I'll go back through them. The first ever Chevy Camaro was black.
Okay.
The first ever Chevy Camaro was black.
Was black. First one ever
That's
produced was
interesting.
black. Yeah.
You would think red.
Yeah. Well,
I would think
That's
red.
right.
I'm getting good at this.
Yeah,
That's
you
why
are.
I said it.
I'm telling you.
And I have a double major in finance and economics, not finance and marketing.
Right. Yeah. That
So-
was close.
You get a second chance here, though.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's a second chance.
There's always a second chance in life,
The
Frank.
bonus question.
I was actually thinking that these were going to be truth or fibs, like about me,
Oh, well.
and I would
No,
have to
well,
like.
so here's-
and you would
here's-
make me like reveal something.
Interestingly enough.
It's funny you say that. The bonus question always pertains to our guests.
Oh,
So
okay.
this is a question pertaining to the likes and dislikes of Mr. Frank J. Lopes.
Okay.
You're we talked about it. You're a big football fan,
Uh-huh.
Portuguese, and of course that means you're a big fan of
Cristiano Ronaldo.
Cristiano Ronaldo. Hell of a player, hell of a guy. I saw you posting the other day. You talk about celebrities that you can just kind of tell. You get a feeling from him.
Yeah.
Just seems like a cool guy.
He's
seems
sexy,
like
too.
seems like a nice guy.
He's sexy.
Okay, he's sexy too. But
He was Portuguese.
Don't-
So I mean,
Women really like dig this guy, right? He's like
yeah.
a red kid, right?
yeah.
oh yeah,
That'd be an understatement.
that's a huge
He's
understatement.
he's
That's
prettier
right.
than a lot of the celebrity girls out there. So anyway, prior to playing for Manchester U, which club did Cristiano Ronaldo spend his career with?
Oh, Sporting Lisbon.
Got it. Good job.
Yay! Woo!
Yay me.
Oh, we got
Yay
a
me
winner.
on the Cristiano.
We got a winner. And
Well,
tell him what he's won.
I was going to go a little harder.
Do I win the
I
Mr.
knew-
Softy thing? Because that's really what.
Tough luck there, dude. Not
You'd
happening.
have to
I was
fight
going to
her.
go harder.
You may want to keep an eye on this thing. Actually,
Oh, I
you
am.
know?
You're not.
I was going to go harder on the Ronaldo question, but I didn't know how. I wasn't sure how big. You know, some people, like you said, there's not a lot of soccer fans in America, so
Real
I wasn't
ones.
sure. I'm like, does he actually follow them, or is he just
Right.
kind of quasi? But
Yeah.
I'd imagine you're
If
you're a
Por-
real fan.
If you're
Yeah,
Portuguese,
sounds
you
like-
have to know about Cristiano Ronaldo.
I
It's
would
just
assume.
one way or another, it's
Okay.
going to
Right.
work itself in when it's going to work itself in the culture when
I
the
gotcha.
when the best what a lot of people consider to be the best football
I
player
would say so, yeah.
ever. Ever, the GOAT, the Michael Jordan, the whatever
him
whoever
and
else.
Pele and a couple other guys.
Him and Pele, and there's guys that'll go and that'll say that because of his accomplishments, because of his age, because of his potential still. to
Yes, he's got a long
continue
way to go.
Still
That's
got a
right,
long way to
young
go.
kid.
The people are saying he's got easy another 4 to 6 years to play.
Yeah.
Like he can play
That'll
into
do
his
it.
40s and still be super strong and super dominant. He will surpass everybody.
Yeah.
It's-
Who's his peer? Or is there one? Is there
Lionel
like,
Messi is his.
Oh, Messi, right. Yeah.
Messi.
That's
yeah,
right.
his
Yeah.
contemporary. That's
Right,
about
that's
the
his
only.
peer.
It's
And
the only
that-
His
one.
contemporary.
And that's a big issue this year.
Yeah.
There's a huge issue this year.
Yeah.
Big issues with that.
Yeah.
Since Ronaldo changed teams and he
Right.
left Real Madrid
Right.
and went to play at Juventus, which is in Italy, Now this year, Real Madrid had a horrible season as per their standards. They had an absolutely horrible season, and which opened up the door for Barcelona, which is where Messi plays, for Barcelona to win La Liga, which is the league that they play in,
Right.
and also potentially could win the Champions Cup, which is the tournament for all of Europe.
Right. Where does the money come? The money that these
money
guys
is
get is
ridiculous.
totally insane.
Well, and I was-
because it's. I mean, tickets. It can't be ticket sales, even though those
It's
stadiums
part,
are
I'm sure
big.
it's part
but-
ticket sales.
It's partially ticket sales, but it's
Is it
mostly
TV?
It's TV. It's
It's
TV rights, and
Like
it's
NFL?
mostly endorsements.
endorsements. I was going to say they go old school. It's
that's right.
like Chico's bail bonds endorsements.
Oh,
Their
that's right.
uniforms, the
Oh, yeah.
stadium, the boarding on the stadium. They go all in on
They go
endorsements
all in
in
on
soccer.
it. The amount of
they get
money.
big
Now, this
money.
is one thing that I have done some research on.
Excuse me.
The amount of commerce that goes on surrounding football.
Yeah.
is far. It makes American sports look
I was-
like fucking chump
This is where I was
change.
going. I wanted to say it for the past couple minutes. It's hilarious how closed off America is to the entire rest of the world's
Right.
love and
Right.
passion for
Right.
soccer.
Canada,
It's-
Mexico.
It's just us. It's
Yeah, it's
literally
us.
Canada. Maybe they
Maybe.
kind of
Yeah,
they don't
hockey-ish.
pay much attention either.
That's
They're
true.
just all hockey.
Right, that's true, too.
But it's literally just us in Canada. The
Yeah.
entire rest of the world favorite sport by a lot, and it's not even a sport. It's
Right.
culture. It's passion for them
Right.
is soccer, and it's
Right.
not even close.
No,
Yeah.
it's
Weird.
it's dramatically growing over the last, I would say, like 5 years, 10
Right.
years. It's dramatically grown here
Yeah, but we're not getting anywhere.
as well.
Hey,
You know,
didn't
but
they-
you see-
didn't we just
it's
blow out our
They're
coach
trying-
or something?
We just that was embarrassing. We didn't even qualify for the World Cup. It's an embarrassment, and it's having said that, and you're right. The statistics bear that out and show that. I see it at the Pee Wee level. It's pathetic. The amount of
How so?
organization and
Oh,
the coaching at the Pee Wee level for soccer compared to other sports in this country is a joke.
Oh.
And it's like
It's just some guy has
it's like
time.
just go out there and play soccer. Just run around,
And
kids.
then-
They don't teach drills. They don't teach
not,
rules.
that doesn't
nothing.
that doesn't come until you get into like the academy level.
No,
of,
I understand.
Where you're talking like
Club
10,
teams.
13, 15,
Sure.
right? And then it's a whole different thing to
Yeah.
where like when you're in that realm of playing,
Yeah.
they don't even want you playing for your high school.
Right.
No,
Right.
no one
Like,
plays.
well, that happened
There's
with
no
Jody's
school
oldest
teams.
daughter that got
It's all
drafted.
club teams and AAU.
Yes.
But my thing is, that doesn't happen in other sports in this country, though. You start learning and knowing the sports, and there's more organization in basketball, football, even dance for girls at
Yes.
much younger ages. 10 is too late, in my opinion.
Right.
By the time a young boy gets to 10 years old, he already knows what sport he likes and he's going to play.
Right. Where Joe grew up was in Massillon, Ohio. So, Paul Brown coached there. The name of the stadium, the high school stadium that seats 20,000 people, is Paul Brown Stadium.
The high school
Right.
stadium is
The
20,000.
Yeah.
indoor practice facility is supposed to be one of the top 10 in the country.
Yeah.
Pros, college, anybody. And it's a high
Massillon,
school.
Ohio exists because of the high school football team at this point.
When you're born in Massillon Hospital and you're a boy, they put a football in your crib. I mean, it's like
That's how intense it is.
right,
yeah.
and they run the same plays. All the assistant coaches are the Pee Wee coaches or
Pee Wee
whatever they call
coaches.
them.
Yeah, they start training them.
They run the same plays from the time they're 6, 7, 8 years
Yeah,
old,
I mean,
whenever
it's a
that
legit
starts, all the way
farm
through high
system.
school.
And the other
it's
schools-
a tiny little nothing, bankrupt town that's just dominant high school football.
yeah.
It's
But and it's funny because what I'm saying and what Frank's saying is you take that, multiply it times 5, and that's how Europe and most of the other countries of the world feel about
yeah,
soccer.
yeah, right.
And they make more money too.
Right.
Everyone talks about, if you look at the top 10 best paid when you take endorsements into consideration athletes in the world,
Gotta be.
like 5 of them will be
5
soccer
of them are
players.
soccer
And
players.
half of America's like, I don't even know who that guy is.
I know they come up on my Bleacher Report feed, and it's like, who is this guy? Why are they talking about him every day? It's like I've never heard of this
Everybody
guy.
but us. We're also the only country not using the metric system, so go figure. We do our own thing.
Let's make America great again.
Yeah.
Hey, the NFL is trying to spread the NFL into
I
Europe.
know.
Yeah,
You're-
they are.
And
So
that'll work.
It will work.
Yeah. Well, what's his name? Didn't he just commit $500 million? The wrestling guy. What's his name? That owns.
McMahon.
Yeah, McMahon just. I think he just pledged $500 million over the next 3 years. They have a 3-year plan for the. Which one just went under? The AFL or the A?
A something.
AFL,
Yeah, that one's out. But the next one, the next league.
Yeah, they could just
He's
quit.
tried this. He's
never-
tried this before.
Everyone's
I know,
tried that
man.
before. It's not
the
gonna
XFL,
work. Yeah.
remember? He tried this.
Yeah,
It's not going to work. It's
But he
the
wanted to
same
play
they
reason.
football.
have
February.
to align with the NFL, like
Yes.
at the hip.
Minor league, yeah.
Got to.
Yeah.
which makes sense.
I feel like it's the same reason that MLS doesn't work in America, because you have developed a nice core of soccer fans in America. No one cares about the teams. There's no connection to the
Right.
team
No connection
or to the
yet,
players.
no. Right.
If
There's a connection of all the MLS teams to all European
that's what I'm
teams.
saying,
Right.
it's
They're
a Premier League.
They're
If-
mostly all owned by European
Exactly.
teams.
Right, exactly right.
If they marketed Premier League teams and La Liga teams in America harder than they do and formed a connection with the American culture, people would start watching soccer. But they wouldn't watch
Probably.
American soccer.
No.
They'd be watching European soccer,
which
all
is
the
what
time.
they watch now,
Right.
Because you've got Premier Soccer on NBC Sports,
Right.
You know,
Saturday and Sunday mornings.
Saturday and Sunday mornings. You've got the Champions League on Fox,
Right.
on Fox Sports. So all of those, so all of those games are on, and when the quarterfinal and the final is on prime time.
Right.
It's on like 6 o'clock at night.
Yeah. And that's what'll make it
something like
grow.
that.
People want to see a good product. You can't take a watered down version of it and throw it into American culture. It'll just, this sucks. I don't want to watch this.
And it's funny because we went to we talked on the phone after we came back. We went to Orlando right after Easter, right? So walking around Universal Studios, I swear I saw more soccer jerseys, professional soccer jerseys, Real Madrid jerseys, Barcelona jerseys, Liverpool jerseys, right, on kids than you saw football
Really
or baseball, right,
interesting.
combined.
Huh.
You saw so many kids, I would say 13 and under, wearing soccer jerseys.
It's getting
That's
there. It's
interesting.
definitely improved.
Yeah.
It's definitely improved. I just don't have time for all this. I don't have room in my life for another sport, so I can't do it. But I'm obsessed with the World Cup. I didn't watch it this year because we weren't in. I was that pissed off.
You didn't watch it. Oh, you missed some
I'm
great
sure I did. I
Ronaldo performances. Man.
I cheer for the U.S. men's national team the same way I cheer for the Browns and the Cavs and the Indians. I feel it. Like when we a couple years or 2 World Cups ago, that match with Denmark. I mean, I was all in. That was tough for me to watch them lose. So when they suck, I'm not interested.
Right.
Flopping.
The flopping is part of the game.
man.
It's part of the game.
It
That's a
sucks.
bad part of the
It's
game.
part of the game.
That is
You know it's bad when they
unwatchable
have to give
part.
cards
Yeah.
for flopping.
Yeah.
That's when it's.
Yeah.
It's part of the game. You got to
I
find.
love the little spray. The little spray's the best.
well when they spray the line.
He's
they
all
make an
better now.
injury, they spray him. I love it.
Every sport though, you got that.
Every
It
sport.
sucks in basketball.
Soccer,
it sucks.
soccer, it's like strategy. It's
flavor.
literally
It's a
Yeah,
part.
it is
It is.
strategy.
It's a whole part of
Yeah,
strategy.
that's true.
It's a part of it's a
Yeah.
part of
Time.
angles and stuff because
Yeah.
you've only got you've got 3 referees on the field. So if one's on the
That's
line over
crazy.
there, one's on the line here, and you see the other one in front of you, you're
Yeah.
grabbing the jersey of the guy in front of you and you're yanking him down.
Right. Who's going to see you?
You're yanking him down. And then when that guy hits the ground,
Right.
even though he only got pulled a little bit,
Right.
he's going to roll for like 10 yards.
Right. Those are great
You know?
videos, man.
He's going to roll 10 yards to try to catch attention that he
Right.
got thrown down.
Right.
It's
It's
the flopping
Paul,
is
It's Paul Pierce coming out in the wheelchair.
There's definitely something to be said for the flopping in both ends. And there's a lot of times when you go like this and bang and you're going through the wall. It's like, okay, man.
Right.
Like, okay.
It's a
come on.
little
cool.
much.
So anyway, your prizes here are I got some cool ones
A
today.
red Camaro?
Look, it's one.
I didn't have a Camaro. I was gonna bring it, and I didn't.
You should have tied it into the thing.
I
A red
tried,
or black.
and I did it yesterday. Well, I got a Mustang or a Maverick. I'm sorry. It's a
Maverick.
custom. It's a red fire engine red custom Ford Maverick.
Awesome.
I
It's
had
pretty
a Maverick
sharp.
for a while.
Very cool.
And
Do I get them
I
both?
like
or
this one. I just yeah.
Where is
both
that?
one, or I have to make
This
a
is
choice?
this is just a Dune bug, and it's all 70s out, and it says Dune Daddy on the hood.
These are the good.
I thought-
These are the good ones.
I
Yeah.
thought, yeah. No, I didn't skimp. I got
Yeah.
the good ones.
Yeah, real
Yeah.
ones here.
So
yeah.
those are yours.
I
Very
got
cool.
the lousy ones for our conference.
They were,
Yeah, they were cheapies,
yeah,
but these are good ones.
Very cool.
not too
Thank
shabby.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
No one goes away empty-handed.
No one goes away empty-handed or hungry.
Yeah, right. That's our thing.
How do we want to wind? I don't want to wind this thing up. Bill's here, and I can't wait to talk to Bill. I could.
Yeah.
3 hours, dude.
Well, we need. I know.
What I tell you.
Is that how long we've been doing this?
Yeah, it's-
What's the time?
it's
Well,
Seth?
creeping
2:40,
up.
but he
2:40.
I
We
was
started about 5 minutes late. It's just keeping these under 3 hours is
It's going to
challenge.
be. It's going to be a challenge.
It
It
is a
is
challenge.
because
Now-
it's. I don't know.
You know what's hard for now. In a way, I love Bill. Don't get me wrong. I kind of feel a little bad for Bill because I hope he doesn't come in here and think he has to do 3 hours. Like all of your guests now are going to be
I
on this.
know.
no one
That's a
tries.
little 3 hours.
It just happens.
It
No one
occurs.
tries.
Yeah, it's
I mean,
organic.
It's
Yeah, I'd rather be done in 2, but
Yeah, I got shit to do.
but it's like you get involved in it, and it's like, what the hell? What just happened in the last 3 hours?
Yeah.
And it's
And
you're
you're doing this, and you're doing this live. So I got to be honest. People have said that I am like the Bruce Springsteen of live streaming, because I'll go on a live with Lopes and I'll be 2 hours in, and finally it's like 11 something at night, and I'll be like, okay, fuck this, I'm done.
Oops.
Right? Like, I'm tired. You guys are kicking my ass with these times now. So I've really got, if I want to hold on to this title, I got to step it up.
Yeah.
The 2 hour live stream is like those are rookie numbers.
Get two more hosts. There's 4 of us in the room. That's what
it makes
happens.
it easier. You know what? And it's like, and not that we're experts in podcasting after 5-6 episodes or whatever it is, but we had to do our fair amount of research to figure all this out and what might work and what definitely probably won't work.
Yes.
You got to do like a real podcast, man.
Yes.
You
I
would
know. I
kill.
agree.
You would kill. You would kill. And
I'd
we'll back
watch
you
it.
100%.
Thank
I
you.
mean, like, we would promote the heck out of it. So, I mean, it's like,
Thank
really
you. That may
sit
be
back.
coming in the future. Let's see how.
Oh, gotcha.
Speaking of promoting, we need to pay some bills.
Yeah, because this stuff ain't free. So let's let me start off with who should I start off with?
Let's start with Rockstar again, because it's coming up
Yeah.
and it's building momentum,
Yeah,
and 3 of the
Frank's
4 of
gonna be
us are
there.
going to be there, and Frank's MCing. So,
Yeah,
like I said, I'm excited. You mentioned it. We've cut way back on our conference budget this year.
Yeah.
And cut back isn't the right word. We've eliminated it aside from Rockstar. It's the only
Correct.
thing we're doing this year.
that's right.
And you've been hounding on me for the past, I don't know how many years, and I keep having kids, so it's hard for me to get out to them.
Excuses.
I know. I know.
Didn't want to go.
I don't want to go to this conference. I'm going to have another
don't wanna
kid.
go.
Right. I'll just keep having kids so I don't have to go to conferences.
So instead of 3 days, I'll tie
bet.
myself down for the rest
Christina,
of my life.
if you're listening, we're having another kid, so I don't have to go to conferences next year.
Yeah.
So no,
Oh,
I'm
you're going to
joking.
regret
And you're
you
doing
said
it now.
that. She wants 4.
I'm joking.
And
So
you're doing it now because it's this weekend. So,
right,
you know.
right. But no, seriously, I
Which is
don't get
well
out to
rested.
many of them, and I'm really excited to be there. It should be a lot of fun. I'm excited to see Matt. I haven't seen him since our conference. I'm excited to listen to UMC. It should be fun.
Yeah, it's going to be great. And the tickets are free.
Tickets are free, and I took me a second time of hearing it when you were on with Naomi to hear you say that if anyone did pay before he changed that and they show up, he's sending their money back to him.
gives their
Nobody
money
gives
back.
money back.
Nobody gives money back.
And you think about it. Look, if you're watching, if anybody that's watching this now, and if you're not going to this, it's just because, like, be honest with yourself. It's just because, like, you don't want to go.
You don't wanna go,
because you just
yeah.
want to suck. That's
Right.
it.
I just want to
Right,
do
it's
what I've
free.
been doing to
It's
get by.
Yeah, it's free.
Right.
Number one, it's free. So there's a big monstrous chunk of the expense just taken away. Okay.
Right.
There is no way that from anywhere in the country that you can't get a flight to Vegas for under $500.
That's
They make
exactly
it.
right.
They make it easy.
They make it easy, okay? And third of all, the hotel costs, I think the most expensive room is like $40 a night.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Okay. So, you could be into this whole thing for this whole conference, depending on where you live in the country. You
Right,
could
for
be
a
into
nickel.
it for under a nickel.
Right.
When is the one after Vegas? Do you guys know?
Something that Memphis or Nashville or
Nashville,
something like that.
Just to kind of let people begin to plan
Yeah.
ahead, perhaps.
Yeah.
Nashville's cool, too.
I'm
I'm gonna
not
go to
quite
Nashville's a
sure.
really cool town.
Yeah.
I think, is this true? I think the next 5 are free. I think he's
You would
doing-
know better than I.
Yeah, I think.
It wouldn't surprise me if they
Santangelo,
are.
Anthony Santangelo told me that. So if I just lied, I'm blaming Anthony.
There you go.
All right, so it'd be his fault.
Pass the buck.
Yes.
And then who else?
Jacoby.
Yes.
Jason Girdner, our buddies at Tacoby, they hit the $4 million first quarter mark.
Yes, sir.
It's
Which
just a
he has
really-
no problem talking about, which is interesting. The way he approaches social media is very, 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 very unique, very, very, very different. The thing that you cannot argue with is the results that they are putting out legitimately are mind-blowing.
Yeah. Well, it's funny you talked about the social media strategy, and I saw somebody post yesterday.
He did.
It's a dealer. No, it's dealer said posted something from vacation. He said, "Hey, here's what $15 margaritas look like. Tell me if I'm posting too much, if I'm boring you guys." And Jason's first one, there's no such thing. You're never posting too much. Keep going, keep posting. And I was like, "Yep, that's pretty much it." And
I have to.
Then
agree
he
with him on that.
posted.
yeah,
Then he posted a comment. How many times do you see me on your timeline
Yeah.
or your feed?
Yep.
Right.
A lot, and that's why I end up talking about him all the time. It's
Yep.
genius. He comes up on our company conference calls on Fridays. Our employees are probably sick of hearing about Jason Gardner, and it's like it just happens. It's not forced in. I don't plan on talking about, but it just comes up. He does something that falls in line with your gray area thing that you're talking about, and it comes up in my feed. Every single time, you can tell as soon as he wakes up in the morning, he'll post, "Good morning, everybody. Who's ready to crush it on this Tuesday?" And it's nice to see. And like you said, if it hits one person who maybe was having a shitty day or didn't, start their day out right, if that turns that one person's day around, it's pretty cool. So talk about putting it out there instead of keeping it all to yourself.
Yeah.
He's totally right
true.
when it comes to the fact that you can't over post.
Right.
You know?
Somebody
And I'm
different
not
will see
talking
it.
about the bullshit of like all exposure is good exposure or
Right.
anything like that. It's just if you just work the algorithm, not everybody's going to see every single
Correct.
post that you put up.
Right.
You know?
It does have to do with algorithm.
Yeah, without
You're
a doubt.
exactly
So
right.
if you put, let's use just round number, if you put 10 posts up a day, okay, maybe a certain percentage, maybe like 50% of the people that like you will see you once every other day.
Correct.
You know, and then if you continue to interact with this post, if you hit the like button, if you share it, which you should, if all that type of stuff, right? If you interact, then you start seeing it more. Hence why you seem to see it all the time because you
Right.
actually interact.
Correct.
But if you're the average person on there, you're not seeing it every single
Never
time.
going to see their
You're
information.
never seeing anybody's stuff every single time unless
Correct.
you take them and you put them on follow and see first.
Correct. That's
Then
exact-
you'll see them every time.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
I'm sitting at home last night till midnight, resharing, doing what, just prepping for today and
Recapping.
and recapping and sharing everything from last night and titling it, describing it, and tagging it, and so forth. And it's midnight, and it's like I'm going, oh man, is this overkill? I'm in I put it in 4 groups, this and that, and then.
No.
And then that kicked in. It's like, wait a minute, the same people are not seeing it.
Not everybody
So-
sees it every single time.
Right. So you got to keep that in mind, I think.
Yes, sir.
So, and then we have our friend Dealer World, just a awesome group of people. Just they're really helpful. The way they go about things is just the real world.
Yeah,
when like you, I mean, it's like I don't know how many times we're talking about social media. I've seen you. You're 1 minute you're at home, and then it's like bang, you're at a dealership. It's already a client.
Right.
Right, you're not there. You don't. Maybe have.
No, I'm not pitching.
I've
over
never.
again.
I'm not sure I've ever seen a picture of you at a dealership during a pitch. You're there with an existing client, trying to assist that client to achieve what you both
Right.
wanted to see happen in the first place. And in Dealer World, I mean, that's their game. That's how they do things. And just hats off to men and women that market that way in our industry, because a lot of vendors just. It's a dollar grab, and
A lot of businesses, not just in automotive, a lot of business people. That's the
of
way
course.
that they look at it, and you're not going to find a more beautiful human being in our industry than Troy Spring.
Ain't that
you're
a
not
fact,
not going to. Good luck.
And it trickles down when you market that way, and you're that type of person. I've mentioned when Troy was on, we've gotten referrals from Troy, and his clients are all exceptional human beings.
Unbelievable.
Every single person that I talk to.
so have yours.
It's the right kind of person, When you get a lead, You're right?
Sure.
Right? It was the same. Isn't that?
It's
like okay.
It
that
doesn't
makes
happen by
sense.
accident.
Right.
You got to. Troy and I are very much on the same page with the fact that the time that you have that you're spending and you're investing in other people, you have to make sure that you're investing it in the right person and the right relationship is there
Yeah,
and
man.
everything is pure
Yeah.
back and forth. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And
Yes.
they're all working towards the same type of thing because, like I said before, the time is limited.
Right.
You have a very, very limited amount of time on this earth. So you want to
Fact.
make sure that every second that you have, you're putting it towards something with a good outcome, or you're putting it towards something for legacy. And Troy feels very much, the exact same way I do on
He
that.
does. You're spot on.
Yes, sir.
You are spot on. With
And then
that.
automotive HR as well.
buddies, man.
It's funny you're here. We talk about the leads. One of the leads you gave to me, it ended up going down that road, and we signed up your client for automotive
Yep.
HR. And that's, I think I mentioned yesterday when we were talking about it. When
Paragon and Benstock uses this platform.
Brian
to
used
give you
it.
an
Right,
idea.
one of the
Right.
first.
Yeah.
Yeah,
one,
he was one of
probably.
Steven's first clients, and it's funny. I mentioned yesterday when we first started talking about this among our trainers and internally, and then some people from outside our company said, "Well, isn't that a competitor?" I'm like, "No, it's not. It might look that way. We're both recruiting, but it's like when I talked to your client, it was, we do this. I don't need all that. I
Right.
don't need all that. Well, we have a DIY option where you can do it all, and you probably save a buttload. How much you spending on Indeed and ZipRecruiter? I don't know, $3,000 a month. Like, well, how about I cut that in a fourth, and you can do that and more? Well, shit, that sounds nice.
Right.
So it's just a different fit for everybody. It's a good, like I said, DIY option for recruiting and onboarding.
Right. And no white label. I mean, him and the Silicon Valley geeks that he has.
Yes.
They developed this stuff. I mean, it's like
doing what
they're
they
not
wanted
buying
to
it and reselling it. It's like their
It's
stuff.
theirs. Yeah, it's theirs
which is-
organically. Their baby.
Right. So we're very confident that he'll always be ahead of the curve when it comes to AI and recruiting and so forth, which we're very into and know we need to be.
Well,
you know,
it was
going forward.
designed for the auto industry by
Yeah.
somebody that worked in the auto industry.
Right, which is unusual too.
Yeah.
You don't. There's not too many geeky, successful ex-GSMs, ex-GMs. You know, those are few and far between. So we got to wrap this thing up. I tell you, man, thanks so much for doing this. I'm so appreciative of you being here and opening up and just.
Learned a lot again. Like you said, it's been always been selfish experience for us. Always taking stuff away
Whoever
from the
listens
conversations.
to this live or hears it on the replay, and like Frank said, please share it. That would be awesome to share this knowledge with somebody else. If you didn't get anything out of today, make a doctor's appointment.
Listen again.
Yeah, try listening again.
Yeah, there
maybe.
you go.
Listen
It's,
again.
Yeah, it's timeless. This isn't just live. That's another
right.
thing we should drive home.
Yeah.
You can, it's hard. No one can sit down and listen to something 3 hours
No.
straight in the middle of your day.
No.
But it's out there, and they're always recorded. It's on iTunes. It's everywhere. You can always go back and watch.
I hope
it.
you guys have a plan to repurpose all of this content going forward.
We
and
do.
making them into quick snips.
That's why I was.
stuff like
That's why you
that.
see me scribbling down over
Yeah.
here. When something good starts happening, I write
Right.
the time track down.
Every show's going to have 3 to 4 to 5 minute clips, best ofs.
Right.
And then it's on our website, AutoMaxRecruitingandTraining.com, and all the show notes will be there along with,
Nice.
like you said, repurposing all that. So it'll be a consistent, constant. I think we're just a little behind because Joanna was on a cruise out of town, but she's catching up, and we're not doing another one until we get. The studio's not available. I don't know, it's going to be like 10 days between podcasts.
The 20th, May 20th, with Dan Webb from
Dan
Tacoby.
Webb from
will be
Tacoby.
our-
You're not
That's right.
so you're not doing this from Rockstar? You should do at
we
least
talked
one
about
from
it.
Rockstar.
You know what?
Figure
Who
out how to
said-
get it
did
done.
you tell me that, or somebody else said that to me that we could do that, or maybe Matt?
You just need
suggested
all
that.
you need
We
is
would
an
need-
internet connection. That's
Yeah,
And a decent camera.
yeah. Well, we have that.
Are we going to take it though?
Oh, we can.
it. Why not? Figure it out. You should have
Yeah.
one there.
We
Yeah.
talked about it.
Yeah, probably be a great idea, huh?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Have one live from there because you have so many people that are there at that moment that you could just take and just throw
Grab
into
'em.
yeah,
Yeah.
and just throw them on, even if they're 10-minute.
That's a
Right.
good idea. Short segments.
Right. How
do it-
long are you staying? Are you staying a full day and a half, or what? Oh, yeah. Well, you're speaking this.
I'm speaking the second day.
That's right. Okay. Good.
I'm not sure when I'm leaving.
Yeah, we have a red eye back, right? Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It's gonna be a lot.
First
Oh,
cla-
red eyes are
First
so
class,
bad.
though, dude.
Yeah,
I better sleep on that one, man. That's
Yeah.
all I got to say.
hate red eyes.
Yeah. Red eye
many-
first class a little
So
easier, but.
let me give. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Ernie.
No, go ahead. I was going to just ask him how people can get hold of him. Frank, and
Okay,
stuff
well, let
like
me go
that.
first
Yes.
then. Let me go first because I want to give the final F-bomb tally. You really did. You behaved yourself pretty well.
Well, let's see.
You really did.
Let's
hear it.
So I got it at 30, which if you do the math on 3 hours, it's 1 every 6 minutes, which it's kind of weak, Frank.
I
Yeah,
think,
that's
I think
not
there
a
are a few
lot.
that were there. We just didn't get.
I think there
No,
were,
I'm telling you, I was.
I think there may have been
10.
1 or 2 he didn't count in
No,
there.
you're
but
there.
Oh man,
I guess
Close
maybe I'm slowing up in my age.
Did
you
you
know?
know-
starting to behave yourself.
Did you know this is some worthless lockered information that our the way that we speak in our language comes from the left front cortex of our brains, but that each of us have a part of our brain that's not been identified verbally, where cussing comes from.
That makes sense.
Specifically,
Okay.
comes from. Hit your hand with a hammer. You know, it's not. Oh shoot. You know, it's oh fuck that hurt.
Right.
Right? And it's just, and it does something to your endorphins. It totally changes everything. But
Well-
it's a whole separate part of our brain, and we all have it.
And it makes sense because we talked about it out at Innovative Dealer Summit before you're getting ready to go on, where you're unapologetic about it because it's
Right.
just part of your
Who you are.
passion.
It's part
and
of my
part
cul-
of what you have
Right.
to say. It doesn't matter. If you're
Right.
offended, I'm sorry, but it's not changing.
Right.
And I can start to curl it down. I can start to unwind it, and
Yeah.
you know, and
But it won't
stuff like
sound
that.
right.
But then I don't. Then I'm not. I'm watching my words all the time.
You're
and
thinking.
stuff.
That'll
Hence why
screw
I'm
up
not
your
on
pattern.
network television, right?
Right. Right.
That's why
Nothing good's on network television anyway.
Jimmy
Don't worry
Kimmel's
about it.
safer until I can get over my cussing. But he's got to watch it. I'm right behind him. You know.
Did he used to be on
The Man Show.
the Man Show?
Yeah.
How can he
Man
go
Show
from
was
the Man
awesome.
Show to being
I don't
what
know.
he
He
is
turned into a
today?
little turd. I
If
don't know
that
what
doesn't
happened,
show,
man.
nothing
Baby.
against Jimmy Kimmel, but if that doesn't show that you can do anything,
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
okay, there are
Good
so
point.
many of those. You know, oh, where the hell did that guy come from, or how
Right.
the hell did this guy do this, or how the hell did that guy do that,
Good
right?
point,
And
yeah.
there are so many of those type of things. Number one, you don't know the backstory. You
Right.
don't know how hard Jimmy Kimmel worked through stand up.
Oh, God, yeah.
Blah blah,
Right.
and the Man Show.
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
how hard was that? That was probably so difficult to get Comedy Central, or
Yeah.
I think it was. Yeah.
how do you get Comedy Central to say, yeah, okay, we'll give
Right.
you a,
Girls
we'll,
Girls
jumping
on trampolines.
yeah, okay,
That's
yeah,
that's the pitch.
all right,
He
let's
turned me on to the Man Show.
The
Yeah.
Man Show was good.
It was like
The Man Show was funny.
Adam
It was
Carolla
funny.
and stuff.
Carolla was
And
the
then-
best.
okay, so now where's Adam Carolla
He
today?
went nowhere with it. Right.
podcast. That's it. He probably makes $10 million a year on his podcast. But
Yeah, but still,
Don't say
but,
that. I'm
5
gonna
million.
throw up.
but the point is that he's not, he's not
Right.
on the, he's not on the whatever the show is.
He
on
didn't
NBC.
use it as a
Yeah, he's not
platform,
on
right.
the, yeah, he didn't
Right.
use it as a platform. Nobody's watching him every night.
Yeah.
Right.
And nothing against Adam Carolla. I'm just saying,
Yeah.
just
Right.
like rewind one more step back. You can do anything that you want to do.
Yep.
If I really wanted to follow up and be behind Jimmy Kimmel or to be behind Jimmy Fallon. My name's not Jimmy, so I guess I'm at a late night, right? If I wanted to go down that road, you know what I mean? I probably could.
Right.
If I wanted to buy a dealership in 7 years, I probably could. If I want the same way you could, the same way
Yeah.
you could, the
Yes.
same way you could.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
The same way anybody who's watching right now,
Right.
broadcast or live, man, you definitely can. It's not a question. So.
Yeah. We got to spread that. We got to spread the sevens. That's a good.
He is.
That's a good
That's
message.
He's starting. This was the jump off.
Yeah.
That's the intent.
It's a good message, man.
Thank you.
It's a good
Thank you.
message.
And it's
And we'll be heard at Rockstar.
yeah.
Yeah, it'll be heard at Rockstar, and
Yeah,
it was
Rockstar.
an absolute pleasure and a blessing to be able to, to come here with you guys today. It's an embarrassment of fortune to be able to have friends like you guys, and to have the associates and to have the friends that we have in this industry and out of this industry, without a doubt. So
Good
to be
tribe.
able
Feel the
to-
same, man.
Good tribe.
Yeah,
Appreciate
We
it.
have a
so
good
Where-
to be able to do this it's a divine blessing, without a doubt.
Right.
Because I ain't paying for this shit.
Where can people track? Where can people track you down other than on
Yeah.
your Facebook page?
Right.
That basically Google Frank J. Lopes,
Yeah,
and
that'll do
everything
Okay.
shows up there. For marketing and advertising services, fbdigital.net, or once again just go fbdigital.net,
Okay.
or just go right to Google Frank J. Lopes. No matter what, if you find me, and if I can help you with marketing and advertising, that's great. I'll be there to help you. If you just want advice on how to do things, that's totally for free. There's no secrets or anything. You don't know what you don't know, but if I know something, I'll definitely share it with anybody, without a doubt. And then if you want somebody to execute on it, then we'll do that.
Right.
And that's the end of the pitch.
Not
Yeah.
just automotive, right?
Not just
You're
automotive.
everywhere.
Right. And if you want to get a hold of Frank too, you can come through us. Any AutoMax clients, there's thousands. So, if we can help you in any way, we're in.
There's no hiding now.
Yep.
Now that I've been on the recruiter, there's
That's
no
right,
hiding.
man. That's right. And you're coming back. We gotta have you
Anytime.
back.
You just say when I'm here.
Awesome.
That's how simple
All
it
right.
is.
Thanks, man.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Been great. Thank you much.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you.
All right. Bye, everybody. Love you.
Peace.
Thank you. No.